Chapter 4079. Outside of Supreme Divine Hall, Lei Ling, Bing Yu and a few others were in a tough battle. They were covered in injuries and looked miserable. Their opponents were two black-robed elders. The two black-robed elders flashed around Lei Ling and the others like a gust of wind, appearing and disappearing unpredictably like ghosts. Every time they flashed, they would be able to unleash an extremely terrifying attack, causing Lei Ling, Bing Yu and the rest to be exhausted. The injuries on their bodies also increased. Lei Ling and Bing Yu were the strongest among them, so they were the main targets of the two elders. Therefore, their injuries were the most severe. Zhuowen recognized at a glance that the two black-robed elders were the same as the two who were chasing after him. They were ancient star transformation experts from the three big clans. Moreover, he could tell that the two elders were obviously toying with Lei Ling and the others. After all, the two ancient star transformation experts had joined forces. Even if Lei Ling, Bing Yu and the others joined forces, they would not be a match for them. Junior Zhua. Lei Ling and the others noticed Zhuowen, who had suddenly appeared, and could not help but shout in surprise. They were really happy from the bottom of their hearts. Zhuowen's powerful performance in Ghost King Ridge was still deeply imprinted in their minds. In their eyes, although Zhuowen's cultivation was not very high, his strength was definitely above ancient star transformation. What's going on? Isn't this guy the target of Long Yao and Zhu Wen? When the two black-robed elders saw Zhuowen, they could not help but be surprised. Long Yao and Zhu Wen, who the two black-robed elders were talking about, were the two who were chasing after Zhuowen. Obviously, in the two elders' hearts, Zhuowen should be a dead man at that moment. However, he had appeared in front of them at that moment. Just as the two black-robed elders were confused and deep in thought, Zhuowen had already moved. He was like an indomitable god. Surging violet gold energy surged from his body, and then he shot out at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh, whoosh. In the blink of an eye, Zhuowen appeared before the two black-robed old men. After that, he raised his right hand and formed two fingers into the shape of a sword before suddenly pointing it towards one of the black-robed old men. Junior brother Zhua, you have to be careful. The two of them are experts in the combo attack technique, and their coordination is very good. Lei Ling hurriedly reminded. Your reminder came a little too late. This brat really didn't know what was good for him. He actually rushed up to court death like this. Then we will fulfill your wish. The two black-robed old men laughed strangely. Then, the two of them suddenly separated. One of the black-robed old men charged towards Zhuowen, his right hand clenched into a fist to meet Zhuowen's attack. At the same time, another black-robed old man turned into a shadow and unknowingly appeared behind Zhuowen. His right hand formed a claw and grabbed at Zhuowen's Tianling acupoint. At this moment, Zhuowen was being pincered by the two black-robed elders. There was no way he could escape. Junior brother Zhua is too reckless. He shouldn't have gone up alone. He should have joined forces with us to fight against the enemy. Bing Yu's face changed drastically. Although he acknowledged that Zhuowen had the strength of an ancient star transformation, that didn't mean that Zhuowen had the strength to fight against two ancient star transformations. Haha. You really are a fool who doesn't know what's good for you. You dare to attack us brothers without even considering your own strength. The black-robed old man who was facing Zhuowen laughed wantonly. His right fist was like a bolt of lightning as it violently collided with Zhuowen's sword fingers. In his opinion, this fist was enough to smash Zhuowen's right hand into pieces. Ah! Suddenly, a shrill cry rang out. Zhuowen's fingertips shot out a purplish gold energy. The moment it came into contact with the black-robed old man's fist, it was like a grinder that crushed the black-robed old man's right fist into minced meat. The black-robed old man's face was filled with shock and disbelief. He held onto his broken right arm and wanted to retreat, but what he saw was a pair of cold eyes filled with killing intent. Zhuowen fully utilized the take advantage of your weakness tactic. He once again raised his finger and pointed at the black-robed old man's forehead. The purplish gold energy shot out from his fingertips was too fast. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the black-robed old man's forehead. The black-robed old man stared at Zhuowen in disbelief. He had never imagined that he would be defeated, and so cleanly at that. He could feel his soul slowly dissipating in the depths of his mind. He knew that his soul had completely collapsed. He was finished. You. How can you be so strong? The black-robed old man stared at Zhuowen. As he spoke, his corpse fell from the sky. In the instant that Zhuowen dealt with the black-robed old man, the other black-robed old man's attack had already landed on Zhuowen's back. In just a breath's time, his claws would have pierced through Zhuowen's back. His heart would have been crushed. On the other hand, Zhuowen remained motionless, but the corner of his mouth revealed a mocking smile. After that, the black-robed old man's claw completely stopped at Zhuowen's back. This was because terrifying formation markings were like shackles that firmly restrained his claw, making it impossible for him to move at all. Restriction? You? When did you set it up? The black-robed old man was shocked and could not help but exclaim. This was because he could feel that this restriction was extremely powerful. It was at least a heaven-breaking level 9 restriction. When I attacked, I used my left hand to set it up temporarily. Zhuowen slowly turned around, raised his right hand slowly, and pointed at the old man's forehead. After the black-robed old man's right hand was restrained, it completely triggered the restriction on the surface of Zhuowen's body, completely imprisoning his entire body in midair. It was difficult for him to even move a finger. You're a heaven-breaking level 9 divine array master? The black-robed old man was finally terrified. This lad was able to set up such a terrifying restriction in such a short time. He was at least a heaven-breaking level 9 divine array master. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to set up a restriction that could imprison him in such a short time. You have too many questions. Go in peace. Zhuowen shook his head. His finger landed on the old man's forehead and destroyed his spiritual soul. Zhuowen casually waved his sleeve and threw the old man's corpse on the ground. Then, he walked to Lei Ling and the others. Lei Ling, Bingyu, and the others were already stunned. Although they knew that Zhuowen was powerful, they did not expect him to be this powerful. Especially Lei Ling. He looked at Zhuowen seriously. The strength that Zhuowen had displayed was on par with his master, the Divine Thunder Emperor. Moreover, he felt that Zhuowen might still be hiding a part of his strength. If he were to show his full strength, how powerful would he be? Zhuowen, who are you? Chapter 4080. If Zhuowen wanted to join Huxley with his strength, Lu Renjue would definitely put him in an important position and even promote him to the same position as the three great protectors. However, Zhuowen did not do so. Instead, he hid his strength and entered Huxley as King Valurium's disciple. This matter seemed very strange. Bingyu and the others were not fools. When Lei Ling mentioned this, they all reacted and looked at Zhuowen cautiously. Zhuowen's eyes were calm. The moment he revealed his strength, he knew that his identity would be suspected. Does it matter what my identity is now? All you need to know is that I am not your enemy. As for other things, you don't need to ask. Zhuowen said firmly. Lei Ling and the others looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Zhuowen was right. His identity was no longer important. Huxley was in danger and could be annihilated at any time. Their priority now was to escape from Huxley and gather strength to recover Huxley in the future. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the tremors in Huxley's sacred city became more violent and the surrounding space was torn apart even more horribly. Everyone looked up and saw two huge figures rushing out of Huxley's sacred city's space and protective restriction, rushing into the depths of the dark void. They could faintly see the two huge figures carrying huge illusory worlds colliding and exchanging blows in the dark void. The energy ripples created were constantly shattering all matter in the dark void. The two huge figures were the protector of Huxley's sacred city, Lu Yuanba, and the Ghost King who had broken out of the seal. Apparently, the two of them realized that Huxley's sacred city was too narrow and fragile and could not fully unleash its power. Therefore, they both escaped into the dark void and engaged in a truly earth-shattering battle. The experts of the great carefree realm are so terrifying. They can roam freely in the darkness of the chaotic void and are not afraid of the horrors of the dark void. Lei Ling stared at the battle in the depths of the void and sighed with envy. Zhuowen was also silently watching the battle. A flame of determination was ignited in his heart. This was the great carefree realm, jumping out of the domain and not within the 5 elements, roaming free and unfettered. He had to reach this realm. Go. Now is not the time to be daydreaming. Bing Yu was the calmest among them. He reminded everyone. Everyone came to their senses and entered the Supreme Temple. On the other hand, Zhuowen quietly followed behind them. Lei Ling and the rest did not say anything. Although they knew that Zhuowen had an ulterior motive for joining Huxley, they also knew that they were now in the same boat as Zhuowen. In the deepest part of Supreme Divine Hall, there was a secret stone chamber. In the stone chamber, there was an entrance to a space-time corridor. The space-time corridor was a passageway that led to the turbulence of space-time. Its starting point was fixed, but its ending point was random. In other words, once they entered the space-time corridor, no one would be able to predict where they would arrive. There was no pattern at all. However, as the space-time corridor covered a vast distance, usually ranging from one domain to several domains, the distance covered was much further than a teleportation portal. Lu Renjuan knew very well that it was useless for Lei Ling and the rest to escape from Hushu's sacred city. This was because Hushu domain was surrounded by the 3 big clans. Once Huxley was annihilated, the 3 big clans would order a search for them. It would be easy to find them and they wouldn't have the chance to leave Hushu domain. The space-time corridor could help them leave Hushu domain completely. As for where they would end up, it would depend on luck. Everyone, once we enter the space-time corridor, we might be separated. Once we leave the space-time corridor, you must contact me immediately. Outside the space-time door, Lei Ling stopped and said to everyone behind him. Everyone nodded with a grave expression. The space-time door can only allow one person to enter at a time. Let's go one by one. I'll go first. Lei Ling's gaze was solemn. No one objected to Lei Ling going first. Generally speaking, the space-time corridor was very dangerous. Lei Ling wanted to be the first to enter, obviously with an attitude of trying to open up a path for the rest. However, the moment Lei Ling raised his foot and stepped into the dimensional door, he stopped like a statue. Only his pair of eyeballs were rolling around. "Senior Lei, what's wrong with you?" Bing Yu revealed a look of surprise as he patted Lei Ling's shoulder. A terrifying scene happened. The moment Bing Yu touched Lei Ling, the latter shattered and turned into dust. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded and looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Lei Ling was clearly fine just a moment ago. How did he shatter into dust like glass? Moreover, they could acutely feel that Lei Ling's aura had completely disappeared. This meant that Lei Ling had died without knowing why. Retreat quickly. Zhuowen's reaction was the fastest. The moment Lei Ling stopped moving, he sensed something. He shouted and quickly fled to the back. No one noticed that after the thunder spirit shattered, an invisible force spread rapidly into the stone room like mist. In the blink of an eye, Bing Yu and the rest were as though time had stopped and they were motionless. Zhuowen's reaction was the fastest. Before the invisible force caught up with him, he had already left the stone room. His divine instinct was extremely sharp. After he left the stone room, he didn't stop but ran out of Supreme God Hall at an even faster speed. The invisible force seemed to have sensed Zhuowen and chased after him. Its speed was even faster than Zhuowen's. D*eminent. Zhuowen's face was ghastly. His divine instinct had already sensed that the strange force had already caught up with him. Once the force caught up with him, he would end up like Lei Ling and the rest. Zhuowen took out the Tai Emperor's seal without hesitation and smashed it on his heel. Bang! There was the sound of heavy objects colliding. After the Tai Emperor's seal landed, Zhuowen instantly felt that the strange force's speed had slowed down. It was as though it had been hit by the Tai Emperor's seal. Zhuowen made a prompt decision and rushed out of Supreme God Hall. He then kept the Tai Emperor's seal in his great world. The force chased to the entrance of Supreme God Hall. As though there was a restriction, it didn't dare to chase out of Supreme God Hall. Instead, it slowly retreated into the depths of Supreme God Hall. In the depths of Supreme God Hall, Bing Yu and the rest were no longer there. What replaced them was a ground full of debris. Obviously, they had followed in Lei Ling's footstep. This kid actually managed to escape from my shadowless shattered domain? He can sense my shadowless broken realm? Chapter 4081. Saiku Hongfei. Don't bother with that ant. The three of us have been hiding in the space-time turbulence, waiting for Huxley's people to activate the space-time gate, allowing us to successfully locate the location of the space-time gate inside Huxley. Now that we've successfully entered the space where Huxley's divine city is located, there's no doubt that Huxley's clan has been wiped out. There's no need to bother with that ant. Once we kill Lu Yuanba, Huxley will naturally be at our mercy. Another voice came from within the space-time gate, and then a youth with a star mark between his eyebrows slowly stepped out and walked to the side of the gray-haired boy. Silently following behind the youth was a muscular man with a bare upper body. The surface of the man's muscular body was filled with dense flame marks, and on his abdomen was a large sun that emitted blazing light. This muscular man had a head of red hair, and as soon as he stepped out, the surrounding temperature immediately soared. The entire stone room seemed to have become the inside of a furnace, and even the stone walls on the surface of the stone room began to melt into red lava, unable to withstand the high temperature. The gray-haired boy looked coldly at the star-marked youth and said indifferently, "Ling Xinghai, who am I and who is that ant? There's no need for me to personally deal with him. I'm just surprised that a mere ant could sense my shadowless, shattering domain. That's all." These three people were the realm guardians of the Goldwater Realm, Divine Eye Realm, and Purple Illusion Realm, Saiku Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi, and Ling Xinghai. They were all great carefree realm experts. The space where the divine city of Hushu was located had always been extremely mysterious. Moreover, it had a natural barrier of rules. Without the permission of the divine city of Hushu, experts of the great carefree realm simply couldn't find the specific location of the divine city of Hushu. Even the three clan leaders had been brought in by Lu Renjue, and they had no idea how to enter Huxley's divine city. Thus, the three of them discussed and decided to first lay low in the space-time turbulence near Huxley's divine city. When the three clan leaders completely released the Ghost Kings and launched an all-out attack on Huxley's divine city, the city would definitely fall into chaos. It was very likely that the Lu people would send their most talented juniors to open the portal in Hushu City and enter the space-time corridor in the turbulence of space-time. Once the portal opened, the three of them who were hiding in the turbulence of space-time immediately identified the exact location of the portal in Hushu City. Therefore, they passed through the portal and entered the stone chamber of the Temple of Ultimate. What happened next was exactly what happened just now. The gray-haired boy unleashed his shadowless, shattering territory. First, it ended Lei Ling's life. Then, it was Bing Yu and the others. However, Zhuowen's reaction was too fast, and his divine instincts were too sharp. He immediately retreated, and in the end, successfully escaped from this murderous situation. Humph! I thought it was one of our people who opened the portal. Who would have thought that he was actually Huxley's junior? Were Yuri and the others incompetent? These juniors couldn't be dealt with in advance? The muscular red-haired man looked around and snorted coldly. Maybe something unexpected happened. However, in the end we successfully entered Hushu City. The result is the same. Ling Xinghai smiled faintly. Heh heh. I can sense that the Ghost King is fighting Lu Yuanba in the outer void. This Lu Yuanba really hid his strength well. He has improved so much. His Qiankuan world has already reached the extreme, and there are already gods sitting inside. There are signs of him transforming into Dharma. The gray-haired boy, Psycho Hongfei, frowned slightly as he spoke in a low voice. Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi's expressions became extremely serious. They knew very well that although Lu Yuanba was also facing the Qiankuan tribulation like them, he had already reached the peak of the Qiankuan tribulation. At any time, he could break through to the second stage of the Great Unfettered, the universe. The possibility of Dharma. If Lu Yuanba was given another few thousand years, he could very well break through to the universe Dharma. At that time, the three great clans would no longer have the chance to fight against Huxley. Lu Yuanba must die. The three people's gazes emitted a cold, murderous intent, and they quickly reached an agreement to kill Lu Yuanba first. The two of you, I don't think you need me to tell you how great a threat Lu Yuanba is. Today, the three of us must work together and not hold back. If we let Lu Yuanba escape, he will be a great hidden danger. Ling Xinghai suddenly said solemnly. Psycho Hongfei and Zhu Yangqi both nodded repeatedly. They naturally understood the threat Lu Yuanba posed. Today, the three great clans had sent out all their elites, and even the three guardians of the realm had attacked. Their main goal was not to destroy Huxley, but to kill Lu Yuanba. As long as Lu Yuanba died, Huxley would be at their mercy and could be destroyed at any time. Go! After receiving Psycho Hongfei and Zhu Yangqi's affirmation, Ling Xinghai's expression brightened. He pushed off the ground with his right foot and rushed into the void like an angry dragon. The moment he rushed out, the star mark between Ling Xinghai's eyebrows scattered endless starlight, which surrounded his body and turned into starlight armor. Moreover, the starlight was endless and condensed behind him, turning into 6 huge starlight wings. Psycho Hongfei and Zhu Yangqi followed closely behind. Their momentum was no weaker than Ling Xinghai's. Psycho Hongfei expanded his shadowless, shattering domain to its limit. Everywhere he passed, space collapsed as if there was an endless explosion. A Daokong-shaped crack formed behind him, like a terrifying tail behind him. Zhu Yangqi's move was simple and crude. The countless flame marks on the surface of his body lit up and left his body, turning into huge fireballs. These fireballs were much larger than the sun. They were densely packed and formed a boundless sea of fire around him. At the same time, the shadows of 3 huge Qiankuan worlds condensed in the void behind the 3 of them. Moreover, the shadows continued to solidify, and countless disasters came one after another, densely packed. The momentum of the 3 was really too great. They rushed into the sky, and the huge Supreme Divine Hall was shattered into fine powder. The people of the 3 great clans and Huxley who were fighting were all alarmed. They raised their heads and looked at the 3 terrifying flowing lights that rushed into the depths of the void, revealing a look of shock. That's 3 great carefree realm experts. Lu Renjue was in an extremely sorry state at the moment. His body was covered with cuts and bruises, and he looked at the 3 flowing lights with a look of horror. Ah, our domain protectors have finally arrived. Lu Renjue, your Huxley is finished, and your domain protectors are also doomed. Yuri was wild with joy, laughing without restraint. Xiao Zihui and Ling Yinyu also revealed excited smiles. With the 3 domain protectors taking action, Huxley no longer had any chance to turn the tables. No, how is this possible? The whereabouts of the divine city of Hushu have always been secretive. You 3 great clans don't know its location at all. Why would your domain protectors come in? Lu Renjue's eyes turned red as he roared wildly. Chapter 4082. Lu Renjue was stunned. Tears suddenly flowed out of his eyes as he let out a sorrowful howl. He was like a lonely and helpless old wolf. Lei Ling, Zhuowen, Bingyu. I caused your deaths. My people, I caused your deaths. Lu Renjue was grief-stricken. He realized that it was all because of his decision that he had exposed the location of Hushu City. I don't regret dying. However, my people are innocent. Today, I, Lu Renjue, am willing to sacrifice my blood to Hushu. Lu Renjue stared at Yuri and the other two. Blood chi surged out from the depths of his body, and his aura instantly skyrocketed. Old man, you're crazy. You're burning your blood essence. Yuri's pupils constricted as he said in disbelief. Lu Renjue didn't reply. His blood essence continued to burn, and his aura continued to rise. He had already flown out without any regard for his life and charged towards Yuri and the other two. At this moment, Lu Renjue no longer had any regrets. The only thing in his mind was to kill Yuri and the other two to atone for his sins. Boom! 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 At this moment, Lu Renjue clashed with Yuri and the other two again. Unlike before, Lu Renjue, who had been suppressed by Yuri and the other two, finally gained the upper hand this time. He continued to fight, and his injuries continued to increase. However, his aura grew stronger and stronger. I sacrifice my blood to Hushu. The 3 protectors and the 9 kings of Hushu went completely crazy. They shouted loudly and burned their blood essence. I sacrifice my blood to Hushu. Countless Hushu people who had joined the battle from Hushu City also went crazy. They shouted the same words and burned their blood essence. The entire Hushu City went crazy. In their despair, they released a final ray of light. They swore to destroy the earth and protect the land of their clan. A miracle happened. The 3 great clans, who had originally had the upper hand, were now at a disadvantage. They were even completely suppressed. The ancient star transformation realm experts of the 3 great clans finally began to suffer casualties. On a lonely rock, Zhuowen slowly stood up. He raised his head and gazed at the horrifying battle in the sky. He gazed at the figures that were flying up from Hushu City and descending from the sky like moths flying into a flame. His expression changed. Puchi! Suddenly, as if Yuri, Xiao Zihue, and Leng Yanyu suffered a heavy blow, they all spat out mouthfuls of blood, and they all flew back and landed on the ground. As for Lu Renjue, the blood chi in his body seemed to have materialized and surrounded him. His aura had already reached its peak. After reaching the peak, it would rapidly decline. Lu Renjue spat out a mouthful of blood. He laughed bitterly and fell down from the sky. Yuri. Calm, Yuri's, and the other 2, Yuri and you. Before Lu Renjue fell to the ground, a figure dashed over like a bolt of black lightning and caught Lu Renjue's body. Cough. Zhuowen? Lu Renjue coughed out a mouthful of blood. He looked at the person who caught him and was pleasantly surprised. Zhuowen looked at the person in front of him with a complicated expression. Lu Renjue's flesh and blood had already withered, and he was only skin and bones. His black hair had also turned white. He also realized that Lu Renjue's aura had been completely cut off. His life force was fading, and he couldn't hold on for much longer. Back then, when he found out about Lu Renjue, he actually had a disgusted attitude. This person wanted to kill Shan Lingyun because she was his illegitimate daughter. In the end, he chased her all the way to Hanwu Shengzhen and took Shan Lingyun away. From the beginning to the end, Zhuowen didn't have a good impression of Lu Renjue. Even when Lu Renjue appreciated him in the Absolute Divine Hall, Zhuowen's attitude towards Lu Renjue had never changed. However, when he saw how Lu Renjue regretted exposing the location of the holy city of Hushu, and how he burned his blood to atone for the sins of his people, the disgust and hatred in his heart disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by sorrow. Clan leader, there's someone who wants to see you, Zhuowen said softly. Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen in confusion. At this moment, he realized that Zhuowen was a stranger. In other words, he didn't know this young man in front of him at all. However, when he saw the figure that walked out from the parallel world, his gaze froze. He lowered his head and didn't dare to look at her. Father! The person who appeared in front of Lu Renjue was Shan Lingyun, who had taught Zhuowen the art of spiritual language. After Zhuowen had obtained the limitless divine medicine, he had already instructed Xiao He in the parallel world to feed the medicine to Shan Lingyun. After swallowing the limitless divine medicine, Shan Lingyun's complexion immediately improved. Her aura also became more vigorous, and her face became rosier. Most importantly, Shan Lingyun, who had been unconscious, had finally regained consciousness. Shan Lingyun also immediately knew what had happened in the holy city of Hushu. Hence, she strongly requested to meet Lu Renjue. Am I still worthy of being your father? Lu Renjue still didn't look at Shan Lingyun. He smiled bitterly. Zhuowen, this is why you joined Huxley, right? You came to save Lingyun, right? Before Shan Lingyun could reply, Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen and asked plainly. Yes, Lingyun is the teacher who taught me the art of spiritual language. I don't dare to forget my teacher's kindness. As her disciple, I naturally can't ignore her. Zhuowen replied calmly. Father, I'm sorry. Although I predicted that Huxley would face a calamity, I didn't expect it to be a calamity of life and death. Shan Lingyun said with tears in her eyes. Lu Renjue sighed softly. He patted Shan Lingyun's head and smiled. Lingyun, I've let you down all these years. I don't blame you for what happened back then, I only blame myself. You're very honest and filial. When we were at the Ghost King Ridge, you and I talked 3 times. The first time, you said that someone would come to save you. The person who would save you was called Zhuowen. You asked me not to make things difficult for him. The second time, you said that Huxley would face a calamity, and asked me to take precautions in advance. Today is the 3rd time we have talked. Haha. You were right. You are already the strongest spiritual language master in the world. However, Huxley's people saw you as an omen and didn't want to believe you. They even forced me to imprison you. Lingyun, I'm sorry. Although I'm the patriarch, there are many things that I can't control. As a father, I'm not qualified. As a patriarch, I'm also not qualified. I'm really a terrible person. As he said that, Lu Renjue forced himself to kneel in front of Shan Lingyun. He cried like a child. Lingyun, can you forgive your father? I'm willing to bear all the sins. I only ask for your forgiveness. I don't want to see you with guilt. Mother. Chapter 4083. Shan Lingyun silently helped Lu Renjue up. She hugged him gently and said softly, Father, I have already forgiven you. In the past, I did hate you. I hated you for chasing me away, for chasing after my master and senior. But as I continued to grow, I gradually understood your difficulties. No matter what you do, there is one thing that cannot be changed. You are my father. You are my father. They are bound by blood by fate. Lu Renjue finally revealed a smile. He had always felt deeply guilty towards Shan Lingyun. Now that he heard Shan Lingyun forgiving him, he felt relieved. Even if he died now, he had no regrets. Lu Renjue, weren't you very impressive just now? In order to deal with us, you did not hesitate to burn your blood essence. Unfortunately, you still can't do anything to us. A cold voice sounded from not far away. The 3 people led by Yuan Lai appeared from their respective landing spots and rushed toward Yi Shiwen's side with an aggressive aura. Yuri and the other 2 people were in a sorry state. Their auras were unstable, and they had been severely injured by Lu Renjue's desperate attack. However, they still had the strength to fight. As for Lu Renjue, he was already on the verge of death. Even moving was a luxury. How could he still have the strength to fight? Lu Renjue, your time of death has come. And Huxley is also coming to an end. As long as Lu Yuanba dies, Huxley and Hushi region will not be saved. Ling Yanyu said proudly. Although they were in a sorry state, their hearts were filled with pride. Lu Renjue was not far from death. The 3 protectors of Huxley and the 9 kings of Huxley were also in a tough battle. It was only a matter of time before they were killed. As for the pillars of Huxley region, the Ghost King and the 3 protectors would deal with them. The situation was under the control of the 3 clans. They could finally heave a sigh of relief. As for Shan Lingyun and Zhuowen, who were guarding beside Lu Renjue, the 3 of them did not even put them in their eyes. In their eyes, these 2 were just Huxley's juniors, ants that they could destroy with a wave of their hands. Lu Renjue's eyes were filled with rage. He forcefully propped himself up and protected Shan Lingyun behind him. He said to Zhuowen in a deep voice, "Zhuowen, I will leave Lingyun to you. Hurry up and escape. I'll deal with these 3. As he spoke, Lu Renjue quietly handed a jade slip to Zhuowen and said, "This is the most detailed geographical map of the Hex region. There are a total of 3 shortcuts to leave the Hex region. Let's go before the 3 great clans react. You must escape." Zhuowen put away the jade slip, but he didn't leave. Instead, he gently pressed down on Lu Renjue's shoulder. "Clan leader, let me deal with these 3. You should also have a good rest," Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen in disbelief and hurriedly said in a deep voice, "Zhuowen, do you not know the identity and strength of Yuri and the rest? They are the clan leaders of the 3 great clans. None of them are weaker than me." Lu Renjue was deeply afraid that Zhuowen did not know how strong Yuri was, so he constantly emphasized the specific strength and trump cards of the 3 of them. In any case, the reason he wanted to say was very simple. Yuri and the rest were very strong. They were not people that Zhuowen could deal with. However, Zhuowen's reaction was completely out of Lu Renjue's expectations. Zhuowen only lightly nodded, indicating that he understood the strength of Yuri and the rest. Then he continued, "Clan leader, don't worry. With the strength of the 3 of them, they can't kill me." Zhuowen's words were not said through voice transmission. Instead, he spoke directly to Lu Renjue. Therefore, Yuri and the rest also heard it clearly. Then, Yuri and the rest were completely enraged. They felt that their dignity had been completely insulted by these words. Yuri said in a rage, "What an arrogant ant. You're only at the half-step ancient star transformation, and you dare to say that we can't kill you? Where did you get your confidence from?" Lu Renjue's expression changed greatly, and he hurriedly advised, "Zhuowen, don't be rash. Although the 3 of them have been heavily injured by me, they are still very strong. They aren't people that you can deal with." He also felt that Zhuowen was courting death. Zhuowen did not say anything else. Instead, he stomped his foot and directly rushed into the sky. He knew that it was useless to say anything now. In order to let Lu Renjue understand his strength, he had to fight with real swords and spears. "Bastard, you are simply too arrogant." Yuri was so angry that he directly rushed towards Zhuowen. He had cultivated for countless years and had never seen such an arrogant junior. Therefore, he used his full strength the moment he attacked. Yuri's natal star was a star surrounded by rings of golden flames. He rushed in front of Zhuowen and suddenly pressed his right hand down. His natal star, burning with golden flames, fell from the sky and smashed towards Zhuowen. Naturally, Zhuowen also summoned his own god-fiend at the first moment, the heaven-piercing purple divine tree. Boom! The purple divine tree was really mysterious. Although it was only at the godfiend level, it was extremely sturdy. It actually completely blocked Yuri's natal star. What? Yuri was shocked and looked at the purple divine tree in front of him in disbelief. With his divine instinct, He naturally sensed that the purple divine tree in front of him was only Zhuowen's godfiend. Logically speaking, even the godfiend released by a half-step ancient star transformation expert was far from being able to resist a true ancient star transformation expert's natal star. Yuri originally thought that when his natal star smashed down, the purple divine tree would sensibly shatter. However, the purple divine tree did not shatter. Instead, it was very sturdy. No matter how his natal star smashed, although it was on the verge of collapse, it still managed to withstand. At the same time, the countless purple fruits on the purple divine tree's countless branches also shattered. Godfiends with 3 heads and 6 arms drilled out and charged towards Yuri without any regard for their own safety. Yuri frowned slightly. With a wave of his hand, he destroyed a large number of godfiends with 3 heads and 6 arms. These godfiends were too weak for him. He could destroy a large group of them with a single slap. However, there were too many gods and devils, and they surrounded him in layers. This annoyed him to no end, and also caused him quite a bit of trouble. Zhuowen took advantage of this opportunity to circle behind Yuri. At some point, a purple gold divine sword had appeared in his hand. Heaven and earth primordial one ray of heaven. Zhuowen raised his right hand and the purple gold divine sword slashed out with a blazing sword aura. A terrifying purple gold sword aura shot out with unstoppable momentum and quickly slashed at Yuri's back. Yuri was already prepared. Although he was shocked by Zhuowen's strength, his reaction was fast enough. He pulled out his right hand and a black gold halberd appeared in his hand. Clang! Chapter 4084. Explode. After Yuri finally blocked this terrifying sword move, an indifferent voice sounded not far away. Then, Yuri suddenly found that the space around him was distorted, and a strange array pattern surged out from the depths of the space. There were too many array patterns, like a cage, wrapping Yuri inside. What frightened Yuri even more was that these array patterns were extremely unstable, and the energy emitted from them was constantly rising, as if they were about to explode. Yuri knew that these were self-destructing array patterns, and he needed to leave this place immediately. Unfortunately, it was all too late. The moment Zhuowen said the word explode, the array patterns exploded one after another, and a blazing white light emerged, illuminating the entire space into a bright white color, as if a huge sun had appeared in the sky. Zhuowen silently watched the explosion in front of him, his eyes calm and indifferent. After advancing to the half-step ancient star transformation, he knew that his strength was not much different from Lu Ren's. Coupled with his half-step eternal level array skills, his strength was definitely not inferior to the 3 patriarchs. What's more, Yuri was severely injured, and his strength was greatly reduced. Therefore, as soon as Zhuowen came, he could make Yuri look so miserable. In the midst of the explosion, there was a rather mournful scream. It was Yuri's scream. Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu, who heard the scream, felt a chill in their hearts, and looked at Zhuowen in horror. They originally thought that Zhuowen was just an ant that could be easily dealt with. But now, this ant had suddenly become a mountain, and Yuri was almost crushed to death by this guy. Bang! A wretched figure fell from the sky and crashed heavily onto the ground. Everyone looked over and gasped. They knew that this sorry figure was Yuri. At this moment, Yuri was in a miserable state. His entire body was charred black and emitted a strong smell of burnt meat. His face was beyond recognition, and he was covered in wounds. He did not look like a normal person at all. Although Yuri was heavily injured again, his vitality was extremely tenacious. He struggled to prop himself up and roared, "Little bastard, I want you dead, I want you, ah!" Yuri had just roared a few times when his roars turned into screams. This was because Zhuowen had arrived at his side first. Then, he lifted his foot and unceremoniously stepped on Yuri's face, forcefully stomping his face back to the ground. Then, Zhuowen did not hold back. He took out the array disc that he had prepared and activated it, completely imprisoning Yuri Yuri. The array disc that Zhuowen had was basically at the half-step eternal level. The imprisonment array in this array disc was naturally more than enough to trap the heavily injured Yuri Yuri. As for Lu Renjue and Shan Lingyun, they were so shocked that they could not even speak. Zhuowen was too ferocious. With just a few moves, he had cleanly finished off the Jinshui clan's patriarch, Yuri Yuri. This was too shocking. The experts of the three clans who were originally engaged in battle naturally noticed this scene, especially when they saw Yuri Yuri being stomped to the ground by Zhuowen. Their movements became sluggish because of this. Huxley's experts took advantage of this slight flaw and immediately killed several ancient star transformation experts. The elite experts of the three clans were also disrupted because of this. As for Huxley's clansmen, their morale was greatly boosted, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Zhuowen's victory was like a timely rain to them, rekindling their hopes. Only the two of you are left. Zhuowen raised his head and looked coldly at Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu, who were already dumbfounded, as he spoke slowly. Kid, don't be too arrogant. I admit that you have some strength, but you are still no match for Yuri Yuri. He lost to you because he was already heavily injured and underestimated you. Otherwise, how could you have defeated him? Xiao Zihui said coldly. The situation is clear now. Right now, the situation is very clear. Lu Yuanbao won't be able to hold on for too long. If you switch sides and help us destroy the Hushu clan, we will give you a lot of benefits and will even put you in an important position, Ling Yanyu said calmly to Zhuowen. Zhuowen's appearance had disrupted their plans. If they could instigate Zhuowen to switch sides, it would naturally be the best method for them. Lu Renjue immediately became nervous. The three clans were clearly in a much better situation now, and Zhuowen was not a true clansman of Huxley. Zhuowen indeed had no reason to risk his life for Huxley. I only want to fight. Why waste time talking? Zhuowen shook his head and suddenly shot into the sky like a bolt of lightning, charging towards Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu. Today, he was not fighting for Hisu, nor was he fighting for glory. He was only fighting for his conscience and integrity. In this battle, he only wanted to have a clear conscience, a clear conscience, a clear conscience, and a clear conscience of his own Tao. Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu's faces completely darkened. They knew that this battle was inevitable, so they stopped trying to persuade him. Instead, they both took out their natal lone stars and joined forces to attack. They didn't believe that the two of them wouldn't be able to take down a junior like Zhuowen. Bang! 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 The three of them clashed and the battle was thunderous. Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu were cautious enough and did their best. However, after the real battle with Zhuowen, they realized that they had underestimated Zhuowen. At the moment of contact, the two of them realized that Zhuowen's combat strength was barely on par with theirs, or even slightly inferior. However, what really gave them a headache was Zhuowen's mysterious formation skills. In particular, Zhuowen always secretly set up formation patterns after a frontal attack, making it impossible for them to guard against it. They finally understood that Zhuowen's array Dao level was beyond their expectations. He was actually a half-step eternal level array Dao divine master. With the help of the formation patterns, Zhuowen was like a tiger that had grown wings. Although he was fighting 1 against 2, he was still able to suppress Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu. Is this the rule of the ancient star transformation? During the battle, Zhuowen's eyes became more and more enlightened. He had fought with ancient star transformation experts many times, but most of them were at the early stage of the ancient star transformation. Most of them were dealt with cleanly and neatly, so he didn't have the time to carefully understand the specific rules of the ancient star transformation experts. Now, Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu were both at the peak of the ancient star transformation, and they were locked in a fierce battle with him. This gave Zhuowen a deeper understanding of the nature of the ancient star transformation. He was already at the half-step ancient star transformation realm and had accumulated enough ancient star transformation. He only needed an opportunity to comprehend it. Once he could find this opportunity, he would be able to smoothly cross the last half-step of the ancient star transformation and successfully condense his own life lone star. And now, it was his chance, a rare perfect opportunity to comprehend the ancient star transformation rules. The ancient star transformation not only changes one's life lone star, but also one's own divine power. Zhuowen muttered to himself. Suddenly, his movements slowed down. The purple gold divine sword in his right hand gently slashed out, facing Xiao Zihui's life lone star. "You're courting death." Xiao Zihue couldn't help but be overjoyed when he saw that Zhuowen was going to take his life lone star head-on. One had to know that Zhuowen had always avoided his life lone star and used his purple divine tree to fight against them. But now, this guy was going to take it head-on. Wasn't he courting death? Bang! Zhuowen slashed out with his sword. It was very simple, but there was a strange starlight in the sword. Then, the life lone star that should have crushed Zhuowen was sent flying by the slash. A deep sword mark appeared on its surface. Chapter 4085. This is Star God Power. This kid is comprehending the ancient star transformation and is evolving step by step. Ling Yenyu's eyes flashed coldly. He could see the mystery of Zhuowen's sword at a glance. Star God Power? But isn't this Star God Power too powerful? Xiao Zihue was in disbelief. She had been in the ancient star transformation for countless years, so she naturally knew about Star God Power. It was the special divine power of ancient star transformation cultivators. It was just that she had never seen a star god power that had just transformed into something as abnormal as Zhuowen. He had repelled her natal star with a single sword strike and had even left such a deep sword mark on it. This kid's combat power can't be measured by common sense. Clan leader Xiao, what are you waiting for? We must get rid of this kid before he evolves. Otherwise, when he successfully evolves, will you and I still be a match for him? Ling Yenyu's eyes were full of murderous intent. As he spoke to Xiao Zihue, he took out 2 scarlet pills. He threw one pill to Xiao Zihue and swallowed the other pill. The Supernova Divine Pill. Xiao Zihue looked at the pill in her hand that Ling Yenyu gave her and said in surprise. The Supernova Divine Pill was a peak divine pill that was at the peak of the 9 levels of heaven. The only use of this divine pill was to unleash all the potential of the natal star in the body of the ancient star transformation cultivator for a short period of time, and then burst out with power that was several times stronger than the cultivator's own. Of course, the side effects of this divine pill were also very great. It was said that it was very harmful to the natal star and could even shatter it directly. This would cause the cultivation level to drop, and it would be difficult to condense a natal star again. It could be said that this was a desperate divine pill. Unless it was a moment of life and death, one would not take such a divine pill. Now, you and I are at the moment of life and death. If we don't kill this kid, we will be the ones to die. Seeing that our 3 clans are about to win, are you willing to die at this juncture? Ling Yenyu urged. Xiao Zihue took a deep breath and did not hesitate for long before swallowing the Supernova Divine Pill in her palm. The moment they swallowed the Starburst Divine Pill, the life star that revolved around the 2 of them surged with a bloody light. If one looked carefully, one would find that their natal stars were burning with raging and unparalleled blood flames, and their power had increased by several times. What was even more terrifying was that the size of their natal lone stars had also increased by about 10 times, which was much more terrifying than before. Attack! We must kill this kid this time. Ling Yenyu's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he flew into the sky. He held the divine weapon in his hand and blasted it toward Zhuowen with the force of 10,000 kilograms. and the huge natal star that surrounded him was like an incomparably majestic mountain that smashed down on Zhuo Wen's head, as if it wanted to smash him into meat paste. Xiao Zihui was not to be outdone. She attacked from another direction and also launched a full-force attack on Zhuowen. Shameless! You actually took the supernova divine pill. Lu Renjue struggled to stand up with the help of Shan Lingyun. When he saw the state of Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu in the sky, he immediately knew what was going on and cursed with an ugly look on his face. Shan Lingyun looked at Zhuowen worriedly. She did not know if the latter could deal with Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu, whose power had increased tremendously. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes were becoming more and more enlightened. It was as if he had fallen into a daze, and his eyes were not focused at all. However, the star god power in his body was becoming stronger and stronger. Moreover, he was still absorbing the power of the stars from the immemorial star and merging it with his own divine power. His star god power was much stronger than the star god power of an ordinary ancient star transformation realm cultivator. It was sharper and more domineering. When Ling Yanyu smashed his natal lone star over, Zhuowen still slashed out with his sword. The blade of the purple gold divine sword emitted even more intense starlight. Bam! When the purple gold divine sword collided with the natal lone star, it was as if time had stopped. The surrounding spacetime seemed to have stopped. After that, the surrounding spacetime started to explode, and a terrifying black hole appeared. Zhuowen groaned and could not help but retreat. On the other hand, Ling Yanyu did not move from his original position. However, his natal lone star was pushed back by a few meters. When Zhuowen retreated, Xiao Zihui's attack also arrived. Zhuowen snorted and took out his purple godfiend tree to block in front of him. The purple gold divine sword in his hand also slashed towards Xiao Zihui rapidly. Boom! Xiao Zihui's natal lone star sent the purple godfiend tree flying. Countless cracks appeared on the surface of the purple godfiend tree. It was obvious that it could not take more attacks. On the other hand, Xiao Zihui sneered and slashed out with his sword as well. His star god power poured out. When the two swords collided, countless sparks were wiped out. After that, the two of them flew out. This guy must die. When Ling Yanyu saw that Xiao Zihui, who had taken the Starburst Divine Pill, could only gain a slight advantage, the murderous intent in his eyes became even more intense. He attacked Zhuowen again. Ling Yanyu and Xiao Zihui cooperated very well. Their attacks were filled with terrifying murderous intent. They joined forces and attacked Zhuowen continuously. Zhuowen was forced to retreat under the combined attacks of the two, whose auras had skyrocketed. The injuries on his body were also getting more and more serious. Ling Yanyu and Xiao Zihui relaxed when they saw that Zhuowen was being suppressed by them. They knew that it would not be long before Zhuowen died under their combined attacks. However, they did not realize that Zhuowen's aura was rapidly increasing. The more he fought with the two of them, the more terrifying the aura became. Zhuowen knew that he was about to break through. Die! Ling Yanyu and Xiao Zihui took advantage of one of Zhuowen's flaws. They attacked Zhuowen with their natal lone stars. Although Zhuowen tried his best to defend, he still spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. Zhuowen! Shan Lingyun and Lu Renjue shouted in shock. He is not dead yet, but he is severely injured. Let's attack together and kill him completely. Ling Yenyu's eyes revealed a ruthless look. He brought along his natal lone star and swooped down. His aura was like a rainbow, like a falling meteor. Xiao Zihui naturally would not let go of this great opportunity to beat him up. He followed closely behind and was filled with murderous intent. When they were about to reach the deep pit where Zhuowen had fallen, two streaks of sword radiance shot into the sky. These two streaks of sword radiance slashed towards Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu respectively. Ling Yanyu and Xiao Zihui did not care. They casually placed their natal lone stars in front of them. However, what shocked them was that when the two streaks of sword radiance rushed towards their natal lone stars, they suddenly manifested two gigantic stars. These two stars were actually twice as large as Ling Yenyu's and Xiao Zihui's natal lone stars. It should be known that Ling Yenyu's and Xiao Zihui's natal lone stars had already grown several times larger with the help of the supernova divine pill. Now, these stars that were suddenly manifested by the sword radiance were even larger than their natal lone stars. It was really unbelievable. Chapter 4086. The two of them looked at the deep pit where Zhuowen had fallen. They couldn't believe that the two sword lights just now had been slashed out by Zhuowen. "You two had a good fight, didn't you? Now it's my turn." An indifferent voice sounded. Then, Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu found that a figure was slowly walking out of the deep pit. This figure was in a sorry state. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his clothes were ragged and his body was covered with cuts and bruises. But the aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. As he walked, his aura was increasing at an incredible speed. This figure was none other than Zhuowen. He slowly raised his head and looked at Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu, who were shocked and uncertain, with a cold smile on his face. He had finally taken the last half-step and successfully advanced to the ancient star transformation. All the divine power in his body had been successfully converted into powerful star god power. "You advanced to the ancient star transformation?" Ling Yenyu asked with an ugly expression. "What do you think?" Zhuowen smiled, and then he suddenly stomped his right foot. Instantly, the entire ground shook violently. Then, a miraculous scene occurred. The earth cracked open, and numerous gigantic meteors shot out from the depths of the earth. When these meteorites rushed out of the ground, Zhuowen waved his right hand and countless rays of star god power swept out and merged with each ordinary meteorite. Then, the meteorites were reborn and turned into stars that shone brightly. "I've just advanced to the ancient star transformation. I'll use the two of you as practice." Zhuowen glanced at the void and then took a step forward. The stars formed a long star corridor in the sky and extended in front of Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu. Are they all natal lone stars? How could he have so many? Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu were in disbelief. However, after sensing the aura of these stars, they were on the verge of collapse. One person had so many natal lone stars, while they only had one natal lone star. How could they fight? Zhuowen quickly rushed over. Everywhere he passed, the natal lone stars were like the most loyal guards, revolving around him in an elliptical trajectory. When he arrived in front of Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu, countless natal stars scattered around Zhuowen. With him as the center, they formed a unique star domain. Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu were unknowingly trapped in this terrifying star domain. "It's over." Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu were so scared that their faces turned pale. They finally felt the huge gap between them and Zhuowen. However, Zhuowen's attack had already arrived. He only pressed down gently with his right hand, and life-bound lone stars blasted towards the two of them from all directions. Bang bang bang! The two of them roared as they tried their best to control their natal stars to protect themselves, blocking the terrifying natal stars around them. Splat! However, the two of them did not last long. They spat out blood, and their natal lone stars could not withstand it and actually shattered. "We have lost." Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu saw their natal lone stars shatter and the countless stars that were smashing towards them from all directions. They knew that the outcome was already decided, and they stopped struggling. Zhuowen clenched his right hand in the air, and the raging stars stopped. He stepped on the stars and arrived in front of the severely injured Xiao Zihui and Ling Yenyu. He took out two confinement array discs, completely confined the two of them, and kept them in his pocket dimension. We have won?" Lu Renjue and Shan Lingyun could not believe what they had just seen. However, when they regained their senses, they were overjoyed. However, they did not realize that Zhuowen was frowning. Zhuowen looked into the depths of the void again, and it was still as calm as water. What's going on? Why hasn't the calamity of the ancient star transformation happened yet? Zhuowen mumbled to himself. He had been waiting for this calamity. The ancient star transformation was no small matter. He knew that this calamity would be extremely terrifying. However, the calamity that he had imagined did not happen. Instead, it was unusually calm. Zhuowen landed on the ground. Although he was very confused that the calamity of the ancient star transformation had not happened yet, he knew that this was not the time to be puzzled. He waved his sleeves, and numerous natal lone stars shot towards the battle between the three big clans and the Huxley elites. In an instant, there were endless screams in the battle. These stars seemed to have a mind of their own, and they all blasted towards the ancient star transformation elites of the three big clans. However, those who were in the early and middle stages of the ancient star transformation realm could not withstand a single attack from the stars. They were all severely injured by the shattering of their natal lone stars. Huxley's elites took advantage of this opportunity to beat the ancient star transformation elites who had shattered their natal lone stars. In an instant, the three big clans suffered heavy losses. In the blink of an eye, 70% of the ancient star transformation elites were killed. Those who were left were mostly in the late to middle stages of the ancient star transformation realm. However, they were also exhausted. It was only a matter of time before they were defeated. Zhuowen landed beside Lu Renjue and Shan Lingyun. Lu Renjue hurriedly grabbed Zhuowen's arm and said emotionally, "Zhuowen, thank you. You saved our Huxley. You are our benefactor." Zhuowen shook his head and said, "Huxley's crisis is not over yet. The real battle is not with us. Clan leader, don't move first. Let me treat your injuries first." However, Lu Renjue refused. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. "My life force has already been cut off. Even the limitless longevity divine medicine cannot save me. Don't waste your time." Zhuowen fell silent. Lu Renjue was right. His life force had been cut off. He was already dead. There was no way to save him. Zhuowen, the Phantom King and the three guardians are too terrifying. The Patriarch will not be able to hold on for long. Lingyun, I can only rely on you. I hope you can take good care of her." Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen with a smile. Zhuowen nodded heavily and said, "Patriarch, you can rest assured about this matter. Also, I have already thought of a way out for you. Keep this letter well. After you successfully escape from the Huxley realm, you can open it. If you can't escape, I hope you can destroy this letter and not let it fall into the hands of the three big clans." Lu Renjue said solemnly. Zhuowen received the letter from Lu Renjue. He carefully kept it and promised Lu Renjue. "Ha! Very good, Zhuowen. It is Huxley's fortune to have met you. Thank you. I have no regrets in dying." Lu Renjue laughed and passed away. Shan Lingyun hugged Lu Renjue's body tightly. She tried to hold back her tears, but they flowed more and more. The battle between the three big clans and Huxley had finally ended. The ancient star transformation experts of the three big clans were either dead or injured. They were no longer a threat to Huxley. "Clan leader! Clan leader!" When the three guardians and the 9 kings brought the remaining members of Huxley's clan to Zhuowen's side, they found that Lu Renjue had died. They all knelt on the ground and cried. Chapter 4087. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, Hushu City shook violently. Then, the space where the city was located began to collapse. In the depths of the chaotic void, the battle between Lu Yuanba, the Ghost Kings, and the three guardians had reached its climax. The aftershocks of their battle continued to hit Hushu City. Finally, the space where Hushu City was located reached its limit and began to collapse. Although Hushu City had a strong defense and was surrounded by many restrictive arrays, it could not withstand the power of the space collapse. It would not last long before it was destroyed along with the space collapse. We have to leave Hushu City immediately. Zhuowen looked at the three guardians and the God Thunder King. Since Lu Renjue had died, the four of them had temporarily become the leaders of Huxley. However, to Zhuowen's surprise, the three guardians, the God Thunder King, and the 9 kings of Huxley all knelt down before him. Lord Zhuo, Patriarch Lu has passed away. You are so powerful that you helped us defeat the elite warriors of the 3 ancient clans. From now on, you are the Patriarch of Huxley. Guardian Wanyan, the leader of the 3 guardians, raised his head and said sincerely to Zhuowen, "Please become the Patriarch of Huxley." Everyone was also looking at Zhuowen fervently. They had all seen Zhuowen's strength. Moreover, Zhuowen had saved them. Therefore, they were all willing to accept Zhuowen as the new Patriarch of Huxley. Zhuowen shook his head and said with a faint smile, "I am not a member of Huxley. I am not qualified to be your Patriarch. However, I have someone to recommend to you." "Who?" Guardian Wanyan asked. Zhuowen held Shan Lingyun's hand and said, "My master, Shan Lingyun." She was the strongest spiritual master of speech at that time. "She is also my master. The position of Patriarch is hers." This, Huxley and the others looked hesitant. They naturally knew about Shan Lingyun's identity. Furthermore, many of the Hushu tribe members looked down on Shan Lingyun's birth. Now that Shan Lingyun was their clan leader, they subconsciously felt that something was wrong. The 3 great guardians exchanged glances. Although they didn't think much of Shan Lingyun, they noticed the meaning behind Zhuowen's words. Shan Lingyun was Zhuowen's master. As long as he could get Shan Lingyun on his side, he would be indirectly getting Zhuowen on his side as well. "We are willing to appoint Shan Lingyun as the new leader of Huxley." The 3 protectors and the 9 kings were the first to express their stance. They understood what Zhuowen was implying. If they wanted to rope him in, they had to support Shan Lingyun. "Disciple, how am I qualified to be the clan leader?" Shan Lingyun was at a loss. Zhuowen rubbed Shan Lingyun's head gently and said with a smile, "Master, when Patriarch Lu sees that you can inherit his position, I think he will be gratified in the underworld. Don't tell me you don't want to inherit his legacy?" Shan Lingyun's petite body trembled when she heard this. Then, her eyes were filled with determination. She nodded heavily and said, "Disciple, you are right. I am my father's daughter. I should inherit his legacy and lead our Huxley to survive." The rest of the Huxley people didn't dare to have any objections when they saw that the 3 great guardians and the 9 kings were supporting Shan Lingyun. They all addressed Shan Lingyun as the clan leader. "Let's leave this place quickly. Hushu City can't hold on for much longer." Zhuowen realized that Hushu City was starting to collapse. It would probably collapse completely soon. Therefore, he pulled Shan Lingyun and led a group of people toward Huxley's teleportation portal. Although the 3 great guardians had already left the Temple of Ultimate God, Zhuowen would never return to the spacetime corridor in the Temple of Ultimate God. After all, no one knew if they had set up some killing moves in the Temple of Ultimate God. If he went in again, he would be courting death. Most of the teleportation portals in Hushu City had been destroyed because of the battle. There weren't many left. Zhuowen, Shan Lingyun, the 3 great guardians, and the 9 kings were the higher-ups of Huxley. They consciously stayed at the back and arranged for the people of Huxley to use the teleportation portal to leave Hushu City first. "Master, the clan leader gave me this jade slip. It records 3 shortcuts to leave the Hushu region. As long as we use these 3 shortcuts to leave the Hushu region, we will definitely be able to shake off the pursuit of the 3 great clans." Zhuowen gave Shan Lingyun a copy of the jade slip that Lu Renjue had given him and instructed her in a low voice. Zhuowen believed that with the shortcuts in the jade slip and Shan Lingyun's powerful spirit language technique, they would be able to avoid the eyes and ears of the 3 great clans. Although the clan leaders and elite experts of the 3 great clans had basically died in Hushu City, Zhuowen knew that since the three great clans had made up their minds to kill Huxley, they would definitely have a backup plan. Therefore, after they escaped from Hushu City, they couldn't let their guard down. Shan Lingyun took the jade slip and looked at Zhuowen with gratitude. She was very emotional. She didn't expect that the only disciple she had ever taken in her life would become so amazing. She was filled with pride. As Zhuowen and the others arranged for clan leader Huxley to leave in an orderly manner, the battle between the 5 stalwart figures in the depths of the chaos void also came to an end. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. A figure in a sorry state flew out. After smashing through hundreds of huge meteorites, he landed on a dead planet fragment. Splat! Lu Yuanba had just landed on the planet fragment when he spat out a mouthful of blood. There was a huge wound in his chest that had been pierced through. The huge Qian Kuan world floating behind him was dim and lightless. Dense cracks appeared on its surface. It was already riddled with holes. The god guarding the Qian Kuan world was in an even worse state. His right arm and left leg were torn apart. He was covered in wounds, and his aura was extremely weak. Hee. Lu Yuanba, your strength is not bad. You can actually fight with the 4 of us to this extent. It's a pity that you didn't manage to condense the cosmic form. If not for the fact that my strength hasn't recovered to its peak, you wouldn't have been able to force me with your strength. I'm in such a sorry state. A gust of black fog attacked. The Ghost King's huge figure appeared not far away from the planet fragment. The Ghost King's condition wasn't much better. Whether it was the Qian Kuan world or the god inside the world, they were all covered in wounds and dim. Before the realm guardians of the 3 great clans arrived, the Ghost King had been at a disadvantage in the battle with Lu Yuanba. The Ghost King had originally thought that Lu Yuanba was just an ordinary cultivator of the great tribulation of heaven and earth. He didn't expect that this fellow had already taken half a step into the cosmic form realm. Chapter 4088. But what Lu Yuanba did not expect was that Saiku Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai would violate the rules of the domain, intrude into their Huxley, and launch a sneak attack on him. Lu Yuanba did not expect the sneak attack to succeed and was severely injured. Then, Saiku Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai shamelessly joined forces with the Ghost King and launched a destructive attack on him. Lu Yuanba used all his skills, but unfortunately, his momentum was gone. He was beaten back by the 4 people, and his injuries became more and more serious. Now, Lu Yuanba was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Not only was the Qiankuan world almost destroyed, even the gods guarding the Qiankuan world were so weak that they no longer had the strength to fight. The Ghost King and the others obviously knew that Lu Yuanba was a lamp that had run out of oil, so they were not in a hurry to attack. Lu Yuanba, your scheming is really deep. In the past, during the domain conference, you never revealed your strength, but we did not expect your cultivation to have reached such a level. The 3 of us were also deceived by you. Saiku Hongfei was floating not far away. He looked coldly at Lu Yuanba. Saiku Hongfei, Ling Xinghai, Zhu Yangqi, you are really despicable. You actually joined forces with the Ghost King, an evil demon. If this matter is known by the other domains, the 3 of you will be condemned by everyone. Lu Yuanba said coldly. Ling Xinghai sneered. Lu Yuanba, you are really naive. Don't you know that the winner is king and the loser is in the wrong? As long as your Huxley is destroyed, so what if the other domains know? Our 3 great clans only need to fabricate a random reason is enough. No one will take the initiative to become enemies with our 3 great clans for a clan that has already been destroyed. Moreover, our 3 great clans did not join forces with the Ghost King. It was your Huxley that released the Ghost King in an attempt to overthrow our 3 great clans. Our 3 great clans were only passively retaliating. Do you think we should be blamed? Lu Yuanba was infuriated. This Ling Xinghai was truly shameless and was distorting the truth. However, Lu Yuanba also knew that Ling Xinghai was right. In this world, justice always stood on the side of the victor. Huxley had lost, and the three clans could easily smear his name and put themselves in a high position, because this was the privilege of the victor. Humans are truly treacherous and cunning. The Ghost King's eyes were filled with disdain as he muttered to himself. Zhu Yangqi said solemnly, Lu Yuanba, right now there is only one path in front of you, and that is to submit to us and become an eternal servant of our three great clans. This way you can still live. Saiku Hongfei and Ling Xinghai also looked at Lu Yuanba. They didn't say anything, obviously agreeing with Zhu Yangqi's suggestion. Lu Yuanba laughed loudly, his voice as loud and clear as thunder. Is it that funny? Saiku Hongfei asked coldly. Isn't it funny? Lu Yuanba laughed wildly as he looked at Saiku Hongfei, as if he was looking at a joke. He continued, You invaded my realm, destroyed my clans, and joined forces to kill me. You've already shed all pretense of cordiality, and now you're asking me to submit to you? I'm really sorry, but I'm not as shameless as you, and I can't learn it. Saiku Hongfei, Ling Xinghai, and Zhu Yangqi's expressions immediately became ugly. This Lu Yuanba really didn't know how to adapt to the situation at all. An inch of land, an inch of blood. I'm willing to burn my last drop of blood to protect Huxley Realm until I die. Lu Yuanba slowly stood up. Suddenly, his right foot stomped, and the planet beneath his feet shattered into dust. He then charged toward Saiku Hongfei, Ling Xinghai, and Zhu Yangqi. At the same time, Lu Yuanba's Qian Kuan world began to shrink rapidly. The god sitting in the Qian Kuan world seemed to have sensed something and let out a sorrowful sigh. As the Qian Kuan world shrank, Lu Yuanba's aura burned like a raging fire, rapidly rising at an extremely fast speed. Not good, this guy is crazy. He wants to detonate the Qian Kuan world. Let's run. Saiku Hongfei was the first to react, retreating without hesitation. Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi naturally noticed this and retreated as well. However, they didn't see that the corner of Lu Yuanba's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Lu Yuanba took out a disc array, activated it, and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already behind Saiku Hongfei and the other two. Before Saiku Hongfei could react, Lu Yuanba's hands grabbed Saiku Hongfei's body tightly. Damn it! Old thing, you actually set up a temporary teleportation formation around us. Let go of me! Saiku Hongfei was shocked. He quickly focused his shadowless shattering domain on Lu Yuanba, and the countless calamity energies and gods in his Qian Kuan world launched thunderous attacks at Lu Yuanba. Splat! Lu Yuanba spat out another mouthful of blood, but he held on tightly to Saiku Hongfei and refused to let go. Die, Saiku Hongfei! You, who invaded our Hushu clan, will have to pay the price. Lu Yuanba laughed, and then his Qian Kuan world shrunk to the size of a thumbnail. Then, the black dot began to bloom with dazzling light, and a monstrous explosion erupted. Before the explosion completely engulfed Lu Yuanba, he silently looked down at the chaotic void, at the crumbling Hushu divine city. His eyes were filled with guilt, reluctance, and reluctance to part. My people, this is the only thing I can do for you, and also the last thing I can do for you. You can only rely on yourselves for the rest of your journey. Lu Yuanba's faint voice reverberated in the sky, and then it was completely drowned out by the terrifying explosion. Zhuowen, Shan Lingyun, and the others, who were guiding the Huxley tribe to retreat, were also shocked by the terrifying explosion. This is the self-destruction of the Qian Kuan world. Ancestor, he sacrificed himself. Guardian Wan Yen suddenly knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to the explosion deep in the chaotic void, and his eyes were already filled with tears. The rest of the Huxley tribe also fell silent, and the surrounding atmosphere was filled with silence and sorrow. Don't let your ancestors' sacrifice be in vain, quickly retreat. Zhuowen broke the silence and said in a low voice. Although Lu Yuanba had self-destructed and perished together with the Ghost King and the others, the ominous feeling in his mind was getting stronger and stronger, and he knew that they had to leave this place as soon as possible. Under Zhuowen's urging, the Huxley tribe also sped up. Soon, the Huxley tribe leader had been successfully teleported out. Lord Zhuowen, tribe leader, please leave first. Guardian Wan Yen suddenly said to Zhuowen. Zhuowen looked deeply at Guardian Wan Yen, the 3 guardians, and the 9 Huxley tribe leaders. He saw the determination in their eyes. Finally, Zhuowen's gaze fell on King Luke, and he said in a low voice, "Luke, follow us and leave first." Luke shook his head and suddenly bowed deeply to Zhuowen, saying, "Master, thank you for saving Huxley. Following you is the best thing that Luke has done in his life." Boom, boom, boom. The explosion in the chaotic void expanded rapidly, and in an instant, it spread to the space where the holy city of Hushu was located. Suddenly, the holy city of Hushu, which was on the verge of collapse, was completely torn apart. "Master, let's go. I'll leave the tribe leader to you. Perhaps in the future, Huxley tribe can be revived in her hands." Luke quickly activated the teleportation formation, and pulled Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun into it. White light flashed, and Zhuowen silently turned his head, looking at the smile on Luke's face, and the determination on the faces of the others. He understood their choice. Chapter 4089. A burst of white light flashed past, and Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun appeared in a valley with desolate expressions. At this moment, there were many Huxley tribesmen standing in the valley. They were all looking at Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun with hope in their eyes. "Lord Zhuo, Chief, where are the guardians?" When the Huxley tribesmen saw that only Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun had come out, they finally realized that something was wrong and hurriedly asked. Shan Lingyun's eyes were red and large drops of tears flowed down her cheeks. She sobbed and said, I'm sorry. They chose to stay in Hushu City." Zhuowen patted Shan Lingyun's head and said to the Huxley tribesmen, "This is the choice of the 3 guardians and the 9 Huxley kings. I respect their choice. At the same time, I will keep my promise and bring all of you out of Hushu region safely." The Huxley tribesmen felt as if they had been dealt a heavy blow. Their eyes were all red. Although they were very sad, they were more determined. They knew that the task of reviving Huxley had fallen on their shoulders. They could not give up. Boom, boom, boom. In the distant sky, a dazzling light suddenly exploded. This light was like countless stars exploding. It almost lit up the entire Hushu region. At this moment, countless living beings in Hushu region were attracted by this dazzling light. They all looked up. Hushu City finally couldn't take it anymore. It completely exploded and dissipated. The Huxley tribesmen all knelt on the ground and bowed to the dazzling light. They didn't cry, nor did they curse. They were very quiet. Their eyes were filled with resolute hope and the flames of revenge. They knew very well that they carried the hope of the entire Huxley tribesmen. They had to pass on this hope. In the future, they would return to Hushu region and make the Jinshui tribe, God's Eye, and Purple Mirage pay a huge price. "Lord Zhuo, Chief, please bring us out of here," the Huxley tribesmen shouted in unison. Zhuowen nodded. He took out a huge ship and sent everyone into it. Then, he drove the ship towards one of the shortcuts in the Jade Scroll that Lu Renjue had given him. As a precaution, Zhuowen took out 2 more ships and flew towards the other 2 shortcuts. In addition, he set up a large number of defensive and concealment arrays on the surface of each ship. "Master, give these array discs to everyone. Remember, 2 per person." Zhuowen took out a shocking number of array discs and instructed Shan Lingyun to distribute them to the others. "Disciple, what array discs are these?" Lingyun asked curiously. "Teleportation array disc. What I'm most afraid of now is that old ancestor Lu's self-detonation wasn't able to completely destroy the Ghost King and the others. If they don't die, their next target will be us. This teleportation array discs was prepared for that. Of course, it would be best if they died, Zhuowen said in a low voice. Hearing this, Shan Lingyun also realized the seriousness of the matter. She held a pile of array discs in her small hands and hurriedly ran to the deck to distribute the array disc. In the depths of the chaotic void, Lu Yuanba's explosion had caused a huge commotion. Many experts from the nearby regions had been alarmed. Of course, they did not dare to get close. They only observed from afar. The area where the explosion had occurred had become a land of death. There was nothing there. Everything that had a physical form was turned into nothingness by the terrifying explosion. In this area of dead silence, an inconspicuous black smoke drifted out. The black smoke continued to surge out and began to condense into a weak and dim shadow. Damn it, lunatic! Lu Yuanba is a lunatic. He actually chose to self-destruct his Qian Kuan world. This faint shadow was the Ghost King. The Ghost King was extremely weak. It was difficult for him to condense into a solid state. He cursed loudly. It should be known that experts of the Great Carefree Realm had already reached a certain level of freedom. They could do whatever they wanted. Even if an expert of the Great Carefree Realm was killed, as long as there was a trace of blood or a trace of soul that had not been destroyed, they could be revived. However, if the Qian Kuan world self-destructed, then one's body and soul would be destroyed. It was a true death. There would not even be a chance for reincarnation. Many experts of the Great Carefree Realm would rather be killed than choose to self-destruct. However, Lu Yuanba had chosen to self-destruct in order to create a chance for the Hushu clan to escape. He was indeed very ruthless. At the same time, not far from the Ghost King, a small flame and a speck of starlight appeared. The small flame shot out a wisp of flame and formed a blurry figure. It was Zhu Yangqi. The speck of starlight also managed to condense into a dim figure. From the figure, it should be Ling Xinghai. Damn it! If we had thought that this madman would choose to self-destruct in the end, we would not have forced him into a corner. Ling Xinghai said, vexed. Humph! Lu Yuanba really has guts. I admire his courage. Zhu Yangqi said in a low, muffled voice. That's not courage. It's stupidity. If I were him, I wouldn't fight so hard for my clansmen. After all, in a clan, the Great Carefree Realm experts are the foundation. As long as the Great Carefree Realm experts don't die, it doesn't matter even if his clansmen all die. In the future, there is still a high possibility of rebuilding the clan. But now Lu Yuanba was dead, and the rest were just insignificant small fries. They would cultivate until they died. None of them can reach Lu Yuanba's level. Ling Xinghai sneered. Zhu Yangqi nodded in agreement. Then, he looked around and said, Brother Ling, Brother Saiku didn't say anything for a long time. Do you think he was directly killed by Lu Yuanba? At that time, when Lu Yuanba self-destructed, he was tightly holding onto Saiku Hongfei's body. Saiku Hongfei was at the core of the explosion. With that kind of terrifying self-destruction energy, even an expert of the same realm as Lu Yuanba might die, not to mention Saiku Hongfei, whose strength was inferior to Lu Yuanba's. Ling Xinghai actually had the same thought. Just as he was about to speak, a sinister voice came from nearby. Brother Zhu, Brother Ling, you guys want nothing more than for me to die in Lu Yuanba's hands, right? Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi were shocked and hurriedly looked towards the source of the voice. Tens of thousands of meters behind them, the void slowly cracked open as if some invisible force was tearing the void apart. Saiku Hongfei, who looked like a gray-haired boy, walked out with difficulty. Chapter 4090. Not only that, but Saiku Hongfei's spirit was also in a terrible state. He was experiencing the pain of being torn to pieces and then forcibly pieced back together. Although he looked much better than Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai, He was in a much better state. In reality, Saiku Hongfei's injuries were much more serious than the other two. The moment Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai self-destructed, they had already put away their Qian Kuan worlds. They had also restrained their auras to the extreme to avoid serious injuries. Saiku Hongfei was at the center of the explosion. The situation had been extremely urgent, so he hadn't even had time to put away his Qian Kuan world before he was engulfed by the explosion. Whether it was his Qian Kuan world, his physical body, or his spirit, they were all thoroughly destroyed in an instant. If Saiku Hongfei didn't have the unique power of the shadowless shattering domain, he probably would have been killed on the spot. Damn it! We've really suffered a double loss this time. Saiku Hongfei's chest was burning with rage. Not only had the leaders and elites of the three great clans perished in Hushu City, but he was also so severely injured that he was on the verge of death. They had originally planned to divide the resources of Hushu City. Now that the city was completely destroyed, he didn't even get a single benefit. How could Saiku Hongfei not be angry? Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi understood Saiku Hongfei's meaning. Their expressions were also very ugly. They had thought that the surprise attack would succeed smoothly, but they hadn't expected that it would end in a situation where both sides suffered great losses. They hadn't expected this either. Not far away, the Ghost King gloated as he watched the flustered and exasperated Saiku Hongfei and the others. He was already very unhappy with the spirit contract that the three of them had made for him. Now that he could see the three of them suffer, he was naturally happy to see them suffer. Lu Yuanba, you risked your life to protect your clansmen. Fine, I'll kill every last one of your clansmen to vent my anger. Saiku Hongfei couldn't take this lying down. He looked at Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi and said, Brother Zhu, Brother Ling, come with me to hunt down the rest of Huxley's clansmen. However, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai shook their heads and said, We won't go. The rest of Huxley's clansmen are insignificant. We won't get involved. Humph. Saiku Hongfei snorted coldly. He didn't make any further demands. Instead, he opened his shadowless, shattering domain and left the chaotic starry sky. Brother Saiku, you're being too impulsive. We've already set up an inescapable net in Hex Realm. If Huxley's people want to leave Hex Realm, they won't be able to escape our eyes and ears. Moreover, our injuries are so serious that we should treat them as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we miss the best time to treat our injuries, there will definitely be hidden dangers in the future. Ghost King, come back with us. We opened up a space between the three realms. It was built especially for you. Ling Xinghai shook his head and called out to the Ghost King. Then, he and Zhu Yangqi returned to their respective realms. They were in a hurry to go back and recuperate, not daring to delay for even a moment. Whoosh! A streak of flowing light flashed past a field. The true appearance of this streak of flowing light was a divine ship. At the end of the wilderness was an endless mountain range. On the deck of the divine ship, Zhuowen stood at the bow of the ship and focused on steering the ship. Its speed had reached the limit of what he could drive. We've arrived at the North Desert Mountain Range. We're only half an hour away from the border of Hex Realm. Shan Lingyun stood beside Zhuowen. She looked at the map of the shortcut in the jade slip in her hand and compared it with the one in front of them. She was rather excited. Zhuowen was in high spirits. They had driven the divine ship for half an hour without any accident. There weren't even any pursuers. Now, they weren't far from Hex Realm. Zhuowen let his guard down slightly. It seems like the worst-case scenario didn't happen. Perhaps the Ghost King and the rest are already dead. Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Let me see. Shan Lingyun wrinkled her nose. She was a little worried. Zhuowen nodded. Shan Lingyun's art of spiritual speech was much stronger than his. Her ability to deduce and predict was also not something that he could compare to. Generally speaking, Zhuowen believed in the things that Shan Lingyun calculated. Shan Lingyun opened her third eye and started to use her art of spiritual speech. Poochie! Suddenly, Shan Lingyun spat out a mouthful of blood. Even her third eye was bleeding. Master! What's wrong? Zhuowen was shocked. He hurriedly supported Shan Lingyun's tottering body. Shan Lingyun struggled to prop herself up. She trembled as she said, "Junior brother, run! Saiku Hongfei has caught up. He's right behind our divine ship." What? Zhuowen's expression changed. At this moment, the divine ship that was originally flying at high speed suddenly stopped. An unknown invisible hand seemed to have grabbed the tail of the divine ship and held it firmly. Everyone on the divine ship was shocked. They didn't know what had happened outside. Why did the divine ship suddenly stop? "Ants from Huxley, why are you running? I'm very unhappy because your patriarch almost killed me. Now I'm in a very bad mood. I need to kill some people from Huxley to vent my anger. From now on, all of you are my puppets. I can kill you however I want to. You have the right to resist. The more you resist, the happier I will be." A sinister voice came from the back of the divine ship. "It's the guardian of the Goldwater domain, Saiku Hongfei." Everyone's eyes widened. They were in despair. Saiku Hongfei was an expert of the great carefree realm. Even their patriarch's self-destruction couldn't kill him. What power did they have to resist? "Senior brother Zhua, what should we do?" Sa Mei and Tuoxing hurriedly came to the bow of the ship and asked Zhuowen for help. Sa Mei and Tuoxing had been kept in Zhuowen's parallel world. Of course, the two of them were knocked out by Zhuowen. Therefore, they didn't know about the secrets of Zhuowen's parallel world. After leaving the Huxley Sacred City, Zhuowen let the two of them out. They were one of the leaders of the Huxley tribe this time. "Both of you, inform everyone to use the array disc in their hands. Don't hesitate. Do it immediately," Zhuowen said calmly. Sa Mei and Tuoxing didn't dare to delay. They immediately conveyed Zhuowen's message. Instantly, everyone on the divine ship activated the array disc in their hand. Beams of teleportation light lit up. Then, figures were teleported away from the deck. The moment everyone was teleported away, Saiku Hongfei started his attack. The entire divine ship started to collapse. "Master! Let's go!" Zhuowen took Shan Lingyun and used the array disc immediately. Before the white light engulfed the two of them, the divine ship was completely destroyed. Zhuowen glanced behind and saw Saiku Hongfei, who was flustered and exasperated. Saiku Hongfei also saw Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun. Chapter 4091. There were 3 shortcuts in the jade slip that Lu Renjue gave Zhuowen. When Zhuowen had first set off, he had released 3 divine ships and traveled along 3 different shortcuts. Even a cunning rabbit had 3 burrows. Naturally, Zhuowen had made many preparations so that he would not be caught off guard if the guardians of the 3 clans caught up to him. The second shortcut was a boundless green divine lake. The divine boat sped across the divine lake. Whoosh, whoosh. On the deck of the second divine ship, streaks of white light lit up. The white light faded away, revealing a group of people. They were the Huxley clan. We're fine. Where is this? Everyone looked around and realized that they were still on the divine ship. Furthermore, this divine ship was completely undamaged. They all revealed expressions of joy as if they had just survived a calamity. Sa Mei and Tuoxing also appeared on the deck. They looked around and immediately recognized that this was the second shortcut to leave the Hushi region. Did Senior Marshal Brother Zhua predict that something like this would happen, so he prepared a backup plan? Sa Mei and Tuoxing looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. What kind of observation and meticulous mind did one need to be in order to be able to think so thoroughly in the process of escaping? The two of them were even more in awe and admiration of Zhuowen. Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun were the last to appear on the deck of the ship. Under the respectful gazes of the Hushu people, The two of them immediately came to the bow of the ship. This is the Lake of Bloodjade, and it leads to another remote border of Hushu region. So long as you leave the Lake of Bloodjade, you'll basically arrive at the border of Hushu City. Shan Lingyun stood at the bow of the ship, surveyed the surroundings, and hit the nail on the head. My speed is too slow. I have to speed up. Otherwise, Saiku Hongfei will catch up to me. Zhuowen's eyes were gloomy as he started to gather all the god power in his body and channeled it into the array formation on the surface of the divine ship. At the same time, Zhuowen also called on everyone on the deck to channel their god power into the surrounding spell formations and work together to increase the speed of the divine ship. Naturally, no one would refuse. With everyone's help, the array on the surface of the divine ship shone with an even brighter light. Moreover, the formation gathered everyone's divine power and gathered it at the tail of the divine ship. Then, it released an extremely dazzling exhaust. After that, the divine ship was like a ferocious tiger that had been released from its cage. Its speed suddenly increased by several times. Wherever it passed, even its afterimage could not be distinguished. One could only vaguely see the long, gorgeous tail of the ship. Not long after, the divine ship rushed out of the Jade Blood Divine Lake. At the end of the Jade Blood Lake, there was a huge stone arch. In front of the stone arch stood a pure white divine pillar. On the divine pillar, the words Hushu Realm were engraved. Everyone knew that this was one of the borders of the Hushu Realm. However, what caused everyone's expressions to turn ugly was that there were numerous figures floating in the air behind the stone arch, as if they were waiting for something. These figures were all wearing golden battlesuits with a special symbol of a golden water droplet on them. It's the Jinshui clan. As expected, the three great clans have prepared a backup plan. They have already sent a group of people to wait here, Shan Lingyun said with a frown. On the other side, when Zhuowen's divine ship appeared, the cultivators of the Jinshui clan, who had been waiting for a long time, flew into the air as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Each of them released their powerful auras. There were more than 1,000 cultivators of the Jinshui clan waiting here, and none of them were weak. The leader was a middle-aged man with an aquiline nose. He had the strongest cultivation in this group, but he was only at the early stage of the ancient star transformation realm. It should be known that the most elite experts of the three great clans had basically been brought into the Hushu Divine City by the three great clan leaders. It could be said that they had all been wiped out. As for the remaining cultivators who were waiting here, their overall strength was naturally far inferior to the elite experts brought by the three great clan leaders. Their main mission was only to catch the fish that had escaped Huxley's net. Unfortunately, they did not manage to catch the fish. Instead, they caught a shark that was powerful enough to kill them. After waiting for so long, the heavens really do not disappoint those who wait. Finally, a fish that escaped the net has appeared. You must all be ordinary members of Huxley's clan, right? You are not likely to be our match. If you disembark and surrender now, you may have a chance to live. Otherwise, don't blame me for. The aquiline-nosed man grinned and stood at the front of the group. He held a large saber in his hand and pointed arrogantly at Zhuowen and the others. However, before he could finish speaking, an incomparably huge star suddenly fell from the sky and ruthlessly smashed into the aquiline-nosed man's body. Splat! The aquiline-nosed man spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying by the star. He only had time to scream before his body could not withstand the terrifying power of the star and was torn to pieces. His soul was even more miserable. He did not even have the chance to leave his body before disappearing into thin air. Don't be so long-winded and annoying. Anyone who dares to block my path will die. Zhuowen merely raised a hand and casually condensed a single star to destroy the aquiline-nosed man. The people who were originally prepared to have a big fight with the hook-nosed man had just been stirred up by the hook-nosed man's words when they saw the scene of the hook-nosed man being killed in one move. The whole scene fell into a strange silence. All of you, come with me. The space in Zhuo Wen's right hand changed slightly, and numerous enormous stars appeared out of thin air. Then, these stars began to charge into the group without any trace, and began to crush them with overwhelming power. Miserable shrieks rang out one after another. Under the attacks of these stars, this troop of several thousand people was utterly defeated, crying for their fathers and mothers. In less than 3 breaths of time, this group was completely wiped out. Not a single person survived. Zhuowen was expressionless. After destroying the Jinshui clan's group in a short period of time, he continued to drive the divine ship to the distance at lightning speed. But not long after, Shan Lingyun, who was standing beside Zhuowen, tightly grasped Zhuowen's arm and said in a trembling voice, "Disciple, he caught up again." Zhuowen took a deep breath, and his eyes became colder and colder. He naturally knew who Shan Lingyun was talking about. It was Saiku Hongfei. Is the range of the divine sense of the great carefree realm so large? Our divine ship has already escaped out of the Hushu region. How could he still detect it? Zhuowen said in shock and anger. The range of the divine sense of the great carefree realm is far from what the heaven-breaking realm can compare to. Ancestor once said that the range of the divine sense of the weakest great carefree realm, the early stage of the great carefree realm, is at least as vast as a realm. Chapter 4092. Saiku Hongfei should be in the middle stage of the Qian Kuan Great Tribulation. His divine sense should only cover a region. As long as we can't get rid of him by at least a region, we will never be able to get rid of him. When said with a frown, Sa Mei and Tuo Xing smiled bitterly and nodded. Zhuowen was deep in thought. There was a tinge of hesitation in his eyes. Boom! Suddenly, the godly ship shook violently as if it had been hit by a heavy blow. Its speed also decreased sharply as if it was being pulled by some force. Little things, you won't be able to escape from me. No matter where you go or how fast you run, you won't be able to escape. I will still be able to catch you. Kakik, don't waste your time. Saiku Hongfei's eerie voice came from behind the godly ship. He had caught up with the second godly ship and had it firmly under his control. Sa Mei Tuo Xing passed down the order. Use the teleportation formation disk again and teleport to the third godly ship. Zhuowen ordered calmly. Sa Mei and Tuo Xing were so scared that their faces turned pale. Sa Mei said bitterly, Senior Brother Zhuo, we won't be able to escape. Saiku Hongfei is too powerful. His divine sense is too wide. We won't be able to escape from him. Hurry up and go. Zhuowen berated. Sa Mei and Tuo Xing lowered their heads. However, they were not slow as they passed down Zhuowen's order. Very quickly, the deck lit up with beams of teleportation light. The Hushu tribesmen who had received the order crushed the second teleportation formation disk without hesitation. After a while, most of the Hushu tribesmen had been teleported away. Only Zhuowen, Shan Lingyun, Sa Mei, and Tuo Xing were left on the godly ship. D*MN teleportation formation again. Cunning ants, you are too despicable. Saiku Hongfei, who was chasing behind, immediately noticed the teleportation light on the godly ship. He could not help but be furious. Without hesitation, he slammed his palm on the godly ship. The godly ship could not withstand such a terrifying attack and started to crumble. Could not hold on for much longer. Disciple, let's go. Shan Lingyun, Sa Mei, and Ta Xing also took out their teleportation formation disks and activated them. When the white light enveloped them, they realized that Zhuowen had not used a teleportation array. Disciple, you, Shan Lingyun stared at Zhuowen. Her eyes were filled with doubt and confusion. If we continue to run like this, we will eventually be caught. If we can't completely shake off Psycho Hongfei, our escape will be in vain. Only one of you can stall him and buy time for all of you to successfully escape," Zhuowen said softly with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. The doubt in Shan Lingyun's eyes disappeared and was replaced by disbelief and tears. No, Shan Lingyun used all her strength to shout this sentence, but it was eventually drowned out by the teleportation radiance. Zhuowen stood quietly on the ship, ignoring the ship that was about to shatter. His gaze suddenly turned sharp. Through the countless cracks, he coldly looked at the figure outside the ship. "Saiku Hongfei, let me see how strong an expert of the great carefree realm is." As Zhuowen muttered to himself, the divine ship finally collapsed and was annihilated. Not far behind the godly ship, a shadow slowly appeared. Finally, it shrank and turned into a gray-haired boy. He was Saiku Hongfei, who was chasing after them. Saiku Hongfei's face was gloomy. This was the second time he had been shaken off. To think that he, the guardian of the Goldwater region and an expert of the great calamity of heaven and earth, was chasing after a group of ants who had not even reached the ancient star transformation realm. They had successfully escaped twice. If others knew about this, he would lose his face. Saiku Hongfei, who was about to leave, suddenly frowned. He waved his sleeve and pushed back a natal lone star that was flying behind him. Saiku Hongfei slowly turned around and saw that not far from where the godly ship had been destroyed, a young man was faintly floating and staring at him with a sharp gaze. "Who are you?" A puny early-stage ancient star transformation realm cultivator actually didn't leave and stayed here to wait for death? Saiku Hongfei raised his eyebrows and looked at Zhuowen mockingly. After discovering that Zhuowen was only at the early stage of the ancient star transformation realm, there was a trace of contempt in the depths of his eyes. He did not take Zhuowen seriously at all. "I'm sorry, I didn't stay to wait for death. I was waiting for you," Zhuowen said indifferently. He carefully sized up Saiku Hongfei and was even more certain in his heart. Although Saiku Hongfei looked fine, he could acutely sense that Saiku Hongfei's aura was extremely weak. Compared to when he first appeared, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, the surface of Saiku Hongfei's body was covered in cracks. These cracks were like tattoos and seemed difficult to erase. Obviously, it was not that Saiku Hongfei did not want to erase these cracks, but that he did not have the strength to do so. There was no doubt that Saiku Hongfei's injuries in the battle with Lu Yuanba were more serious than Zhuowen had imagined. Zhuowen knew that he could fight this battle. Of course, this was also because Zhuowen guessed that Saiku Hongfei was seriously injured, so he took the risk to stay and stall for time with Saiku Hongfei. Otherwise, if Saiku Hongfei had chased after him in his peak state, Zhuowen would have turned around and left without a second thought. He would not have fought him head-on. "Waiting for me?" Saiku Hongfei was stunned, then he sneered. "Are you waiting for me to kill you?" "No. I'm waiting for you to be killed by me. The power of Ancestor Lu's self-destruction must not be pleasant, right? How much strength can you use now?" Zhuowen said indifferently. Saiku Hongfei was unable to restrain his anger. He stared fixedly at Zhuowen and said in a low voice, "Are you mocking me? Are you not worthy of being mocked?" Zhuowen laughed. "You're courting death." Saiku Hongfei was furious. He suddenly released the shadowless, shattering domain. Like an invisible shadow, he flew out and attacked Zhuowen. The moment the shadowless, shattering domain enveloped Zhuowen, Zhuowen immediately felt his body tremble. A vast power seemed to be pulling him tightly. However, Zhuowen relaxed because the shadowless shattered domain that Saiku Hongfei released this time was much weaker than the shadowless shattered domain that he had experienced the first time in Absolute Divine Hall. "Break for me." Zhuowen did not hide his aura. Like an erupting volcano, his aura surged into the sky. Then, around his body, natal lone stars appeared out of thin air. They revolved around Zhuowen in a strange oval trajectory, forming a powerful stellar domain around him. The stellar domain bloomed with brilliant starlight and burst out with terrifying stellar energy. It actually resisted Saiku Hongfei's shadowless, shattering domain. Chapter 4093. In the sky above the boundless mountain range, two figures were facing each other proudly. One of them was surrounded by many stars, which revolved around him in different orbits, forming an extremely terrifying starry domain. The other figure was surrounded by endless shadows, which seemed to spread endlessly, filled with an aura of terror and despair. The starry domain and the shadow domain collided, erupting with dazzling aftershocks. As for the endless mountain ranges below, they were unable to withstand the energy from the collision of the two forces and collapsed one after another, turning into ruins. Zhuowen heaved a sigh of relief, finally completely relieved. Saiku Hongfei was indeed severely injured, and his strength had decreased greatly. The shadowless shattered domain, which had caused him to be in a sorry state, did not pose much of a threat to him now. Zhuowen knew very well that this was mainly because he had just advanced to the ancient star transformation and his strength had increased greatly, and Saiku Hongfei's injuries were too severe. "Who are you?" Saiku Hongfei frowned slightly as he looked at Zhuowen, feeling more and more shocked. Although his strength had decreased greatly due to his injuries, he was still much stronger than a peak ancient star transformation cultivator. But now, this young man in front of him had just advanced to the ancient star transformation, and yet he was able to block his shadowless shattered domain, which made him feel extremely incredulous. In particular, Zhuowen's numerous natal lone stars completely shocked Saiku Hongfei. This was not something an ordinary ancient star transformation cultivator could do. At this moment, Saiku Hongfei thought of many things. He looked at Zhuowen seriously, subconsciously thinking that the latter was very likely from one of the top 5 invincible domains in the 100 domains of the Outer Realm. The 100 domains of the Outer Realm had a total of 108 domains, which were naturally divided into different grades and grades. A powerful domain could casually destroy several weak domains with a wave of their hand. According to the grades of domains, there were 5 grades: low, medium, high, supreme, and invincible. The Goldwater domain guarded by Saiku Hongfei, the Divine Eye domain guarded by Zhu Yangqi, and the Purple Illusion domain guarded by Ling Xinghai were all low-grade domains, which were ranked at the bottom of the 100 domains of the Outer Realm. Naturally, the Hushu realm that they had joined forces to attack was also a low-level realm just like them. The highest level of invincible realm was an invincible existence in the entire 100 outer domains. Each of these realms was a colossus that could wipe out most of the living beings in the 100 domains. They were the true holy lands of the 100 domains. In Saiku Hongfei's eyes, Zhuowen's ancient star transformation was already so powerful. In addition, his life star was too strange and powerful. Subconsciously, he thought that this person was definitely a genius from a powerful domain, and his heart was filled with dread. Zhuowen naturally didn't know that Saiku Hongfei had thought so much in the blink of an eye. He looked at Saiku Hongfei indifferently and said in a low voice, "You don't have the right to know my name?" Saiku Hongfei was furious, but he became even more vigilant. The more arrogant Zhuowen was, the more convinced he was of his conjecture. Therefore, although he was angry, he still did not attack again. With Fellow's talent and strength, you must not be one of Huxley's people, right? Saiku Hongfei asked carelessly. Zhuowen showed a trace of surprise. He didn't think that Saiku Hongfei, who had never seen him before, would be able to tell that he wasn't one of Huxley's people. Saiku Hongfei's observation skills were excellent, and he immediately saw the flash of surprise on Zhuowen's face. He became even more convinced of his conjecture. "Fellow, if you're not one of Huxley's people, you don't have to stand up for them. This was simply a thankless task. If fellow is willing to leave, I will not attack you again, Saiku Hongfei said. Zhuowen's expression was strange. What was going on with Saiku Hongfei? Just a moment ago, he was shouting at him and glaring at him angrily. Why did he suddenly change his personality and become so easy to talk to? How could Zhuowen know that Saiku Hongfei was not afraid of Zhuowen, but was thinking too much? He thought that Zhuowen's background was extraordinary, and before he found out the truth, he was not willing to completely offend Zhuowen. Zhuowen, on the other hand, deliberately revealed a contemplative expression, but did not speak. His original goal was to delay Saiku Hongfei and allow the Huxley's people to escape the range of Saiku Hongfei's consciousness as soon as possible. Now that there was such a great opportunity, he naturally had to make good use of it. Moreover, he really did not want to fight Saiku Hongfei. After all, Saiku Hongfei was a supreme expert of the great carefree realm. Even if he was seriously injured, he was still very difficult to deal with. Zhuowen did not have much of a chance of winning. Fellow, have you thought it through? Saiku Hongfei furrowed his brows and asked impatiently. He had naturally thought of Zhuowen's little trick. Hence, he urged Zhuowen. Haha, sorry, I still can't leave. That's because there's someone very important to me in that group of people. Therefore, your suggestion, I won't accept it, Zhuowen said slowly. Saiku Hongfei's expression turned completely cold. He had already given Zhuowen enough face, but this guy did not give him any. Since this was the case, even if this person's background was great, he could not tolerate it. At worst, after killing this person, he would destroy the evidence and destroy the corpse. Even if this person's background was extraordinary, the faction behind him might not be able to trace it back to him. Thinking of this, Saiku Hongfei's eyes were filled with killing intent. If that's the case, then go to hell. Saiku Hongfei's shadowless, shattering domain suddenly exploded with terrifying power. Then, the space inside the domain collapsed inch by inch, and a powerful force erupted. The stalemate between the two domains was completely broken. Zhuowen's astral domain began to be completely suppressed by the shadowless shattering domain, and it kept shrinking and retreating. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Saiku Hongfei's shadowless, shattering domain to suddenly become so powerful. At the same time, when the shadowless, shattering domain suddenly became stronger, Saiku Hongfei also made his move. He shot over like a bolt of lightning and rushed into Zhuowen's astral domain in the blink of an eye. Boom, boom, boom. When Saiku Hongfei charged into the starry domain, the stars within the domain shot towards him like meteors. Saiku Hongfei's expression was calm. His hands were like the sharpest weapons in the world. Palm after palm, he blasted away all the stars that were coming at him from all directions. Chapter 4094. Saiku Hongfei clenched his right hand into a fist and punched towards Zhuowen's face like a rainbow piercing through the sun. Terrifying energy rippled out like ripples in water. With Saiku Hongfei as the center, the ripples spread out in all directions, becoming denser and more powerful. Zhuowen's expression was grave as he cursed in his heart. Saiku Hongfei hadn't used his full strength earlier, causing Zhuowen to misjudge Saiku Hongfei's strength. However, Zhuowen didn't panic. Instead, he took out a purple-gold divine sword and slashed out hundreds and thousands of sword rays in an instant. Every sword ray seemed to be able to split open the heavens and earth. Its power was immense and terrifying. At the same time, Zhuowen's fingers moved like a zither player plucking the strings of a zither. He was constantly plucking the strings in the air as he laid out a formation. As Zhuowen continued to form seals, dense formation runes condensed in front of him, forming a dense defense like a spiderweb. Boom, boom, boom. After Zhuowen finished forming the seals, Saiku Hongfei's attack arrived. Although Zhuowen's sword rays were powerful and terrifying, They didn't have any advantage in front of Psycho Hongfei. Psycho Hongfei's fist, which was as heavy as a mountain, smashed dozens of sword rays into smithereens. Then, Psycho Hongfei's fists rapidly swung out like meteors. His entire body was like a phantom as he shuttled through the sword rays. Every time he shuttled through the sword rays, he would shatter dozens of sword rays. In a short while, the hundreds and thousands of sword rays Zhuowen had unleashed were all annihilated by Psycho Hongfei. After completely annihilating the sword rays, Psycho Hongfei finally appeared in front of Zhuowen. On the other hand, he finally noticed that numerous extremely powerful grand formations had been set up around Zhuowen since an unknown period of time. The moment he approached the formation runes, countless formation runes seemed to have a chain reaction. They shook violently and produced a powerful binding force that bound Psycho Hongfei's limbs. Psycho Hongfei's speed instantly slowed down, as if he was moving in slow motion. Zhuowen grasped this opportunity, and suddenly stabbed out with the violet gold divine sword, aiming for Psycho Hongfei's heart. Psycho Hongfei's expression changed drastically. He clearly didn't expect Zhuowen to have set up an invisible formation around him. He was caught off guard and fell for it. What's more, he found that this was a half-step eternal rank array. If he was at his peak, such a formation wouldn't pose any threat to him. But now, he had been careless, and his strength had plummeted. Thus, he was still affected by the formation. Although the formation could only affect him for 3 breaths of time, these 3 breaths of time were more than enough for Zhuowen. Swoosh! A beam of sword light flashed and instantly swept towards Psycho Hongfei's vital point. Psycho Hongfei was very smart. In a life-and-death situation, he forcefully shifted his body, and the sword light finally landed on his right arm. Psycho Hongfei's right arm was severed at the shoulder. Divine blood splattered everywhere as the severed arm was sent flying. The moment Psycho Hongfei's right arm was severed, he finally broke free from the formation's restraint and quickly retreated. At the same time, he tried to snatch his severed arm back as he retreated. Unfortunately, Zhuowen's reaction was faster than his. Before he made his move, he shook his right hand and endless sword light shot up into the sky and shredded the severed arm into pieces. Ah! Little bastard, you're courting death! Psycho Hongfei's eyes were scarlet. He was completely enraged. He never thought that he would suffer such a great loss at the hands of Gu Xingbian. If news of this spread, he would be ridiculed by everyone. Zhuowen looked at Psycho Hongfei coldly. Although Psycho Hongfei was still very strong, he wasn't afraid. This was because he could see that Psycho Hongfei hadn't released his most powerful universe world from the beginning. This meant that in the battle with Lu Yuanba, Psycho Hongfei's universe world was very likely damaged and couldn't be used at all. For a great carefree realm expert, being unable to use his universe world was equivalent to an ordinary person losing both arms. His strength would be greatly reduced. Psycho Hongfei, your defeat is certain. Zhuowen's right foot stomped on the air and flew towards Psycho Hongfei again. This time, his Abhijna and Formation Dao were side by side. He wanted to completely defeat Psycho Hongfei. However, he didn't notice that Psycho Hongfei's expression had suddenly calmed down. He no longer looked flustered and exasperated. Then, Zhuowen saw Psycho Hongfei take out a treasured wheel from his spirit ring. The ring of this treasure wheel was made up of all kinds of ferocious strange beasts. They came in all shapes and sizes and looked very strange. Humph! You forced me to use the demon wheel. Little bastard, you will die today even if you don't. After taking out this strange wheel, Psycho Hongfei's expression became extremely ugly. This demon wheel was a fragment of a rank 7 astral weapon. It was the highest level weapon of the Jinshui clan. Psycho Hongfei had always kept it. Logically speaking, Psycho Hongfei didn't really want to use the demon wheel because the weapon spirit of this astral weapon was too evil and greedy. In order to feed this astral weapon, Saiku Hongfei had to sacrifice millions of creatures almost every month for this astral weapon spirit to eat. The Jinshui clan did have a lot of creatures, but the demon wheel's weapon spirit's appetite was too big. Even though Saiku Hongfei was a domain guardian, he still couldn't bear it. Moreover, every time the demon wheel was used, the weapon spirit would ask for a sky-high price to extort more creatures. This was the main reason why Saiku Hongfei didn't want to use this astral weapon. Kaki. Saiku Hongfei, are you finally going to use this seed again? An extremely evil voice came from the evil ghost demonic wheel. Then, an extremely rich purple-black light emerged from the evil ghost demonic wheel. This beam of light was too evil. It made people feel cold and uncomfortable just by looking at it. Saiku Hongfei didn't answer, but his expression became unnatural. Let's make it clear. Sacrifice 5 million creatures, and this seat will help you once. This seat has already given you a discount. The evil voice came from the demon wheel again. Okay. As long as you help me kill that kid. Saiku Hongfei gnashed his teeth in hatred. He could only swallow his anger in the face of the weapon spirit's exorbitant demand. Not far away, Zhuowen looked as if he was facing a great enemy. He frowned as he looked at the demon wheel that Saiku Hongfei took out. He felt an extremely uncomfortable sense of threat from that thing. What a powerful aura! Could it be a rank 7 astral weapon fragment? Zhuowen stared at the demon wheel. He could clearly feel the aura of an astral weapon from it, and it was much stronger than the purple gold divine sword in his hand. This demon wheel was very likely a rank 7 astral weapon fragment that was of a higher level than the purple gold divine sword. Chapter 4095. Kaki. He's just an early ancient star transformation realm ant, yet you still want to use me? Aren't you using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? On the surface of the evil ghost demonic wheel, a pair of strange red eyes stared coldly at Zhuowen from the depths of the black aura. Especially when he found that Zhuowen's aura was not very strong, his eyes were filled with a strange light. Saiku Hongfei's face was gloomy as he said coldly, "Don't underestimate this kid. His strength is far beyond the ordinary ancient star transformation realm expert. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been unable to take him down. Of course, if I wasn't injured, no matter how strong this kid is, he would have been a corpse by now." The evil ghost demonic wheel no longer spoke. The moment he was summoned by Saiku Hongfei, he felt that Saiku Hongfei's aura was extremely weak, and he was severely injured. "Humph. I'll lend you my power. Remember your promise, I need 8 million lives." The evil ghost demonic wheel said coldly. "What? Didn't you say it was 5 million? Saiku Hongfei was furious. "That was then. This is now. If you don't want to, I won't force you. However, you don't want to use my power either." The evil ghost demonic wheel laughed sinisterly. Saiku Hongfei was so angry that his whole body trembled. He gritted his teeth and said, "Fine. I agree." That's more like it." The evil ghost demonic wheel laughed disdainfully and no longer made any sound. However, the evil energy that surged out of his body became even stronger and more terrifying. "Little bastard, I'll kill you today." Saiku Hongfei looked at Zhuowen with bloodshot eyes. He vented all the anger in his chest on Zhuowen. If it weren't for this kid, he wouldn't have been tricked so miserably by the evil ghost demonic wheel. Whoosh! Saiku Hongfei's right foot stepped on the void and shot out like an arrow towards Zhuowen. The evil ghost demonic wheel continued to revolve around his body. Terrifying black fog surged and condensed around Saiku Hongfei's body, forming an extremely hard armor. Zhuowen's gaze was serious. He did not dare to be careless. He held the purple gold divine sword in his right hand and slashed out with all his might. Streaks of sword light whizzed out, forming a boundless sea of swords in the sky. At the same time, All 10 of Zhuowen's fingers moved as he unleashed his lifetime's worth of knowledge. Lines after lines of terrifyingly complex runes surged out and shot up into the sky. The ocean of swords combined with the complex formation patterns to form a terrifying formation with the sword light as the foundation. In an instant, its power reached its peak. Sword shaking the 9 heavens. Zhuowen's eyes were cold. This was a technique that he had created himself. It was an extremely powerful technique that combined the array way and the way of the sword. The power of the sword shaking the 9 heavens was naturally much stronger than the one line of primordial heaven and earth. However, what made Zhuowen's expression turn ugly was that Psycho Hongfei's speed did not decrease at all despite being enveloped by the black fog. Like a wild beast, he directly charged into the sword shaking the 9 heavens. What made Zhuowen even more incredulous was that Psycho Hongfei was able to move freely through the ocean of swords. The endless sword light combined with the formation pattern's power was like endless lightning that struck Psycho Hongfei's body. However, it did not cause any harm to him. This terrifying power was basically blocked by the strange black fog around Psycho Hongfei's body. Damn it! This evil ghost demonic wheel is actually so terrifying. Zhuowen's expression turned ugly. Even though there was only a single rank difference between a rank 6 astral weapon and a rank 7 astral weapon, the difference in power was like heaven and earth. As Psycho Hongfei continued to approach him, he could clearly feel that the purple gold divine sword in his right hand was trembling violently. It was as if it was afraid of the evil ghost demonic wheel approaching. Zhuowen knew that if the purple gold divine sword clashed with the evil ghost demonic wheel, the purple gold divine sword would very likely be destroyed in the end. Do I have to use that thing again? Zhuowen frowned slightly. He knew that the only thing that could resist the evil ghost demonic wheel was the Grand Emperor's seal. However, the Grand Emperor's seal was simply too domineering. Every time he used it, it would suck his energy dry. If he could not defeat the enemy in one move, Zhuowen would not be willing to use the Grand Emperor's seal. Boom! Just as Zhuowen was thinking of a countermeasure, the ocean of swords completely collapsed. Psycho Hongfei's cold aura fell towards Zhuowen. Little bastard, you're dead meat. Psycho Hongfei's cold voice reverberated in the sky. It was as if the heavens were descending. Zhuowen's eyes flashed with decisiveness. He knew that now was not the time to hesitate. At this point, the only way for him to escape this calamity was to use the Grand Emperor's seal. Just as Zhuowen was about to put away the purple gold divine sword and take out the Grand Emperor's seal, his expression changed drastically and his body shook. This is my calamity? Zhuowen suddenly raised his head and looked into the depths of the chaotic void. There, he discovered that a terrifying calamity was constantly brewing and flashing, as if it would descend at any moment. Whoosh! A strong wind whistled as if it was right in front of him. He saw that Psycho Hongfei was not far away from him. Zhuowen's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He executed the primordial chaos body technique to the extreme and turned into an illusory purple shadow. He dodged Psycho Hongfei's attacks while patiently waiting for the calamity to descend. Psycho Hongfei naturally sensed Zhuowen's intentions. In fact, when the calamity had started brewing, he had already noticed the calamity energy in the depths of the void. However, he did not take it to heart. How foolish. Do you think a mere calamity of the ancient star transformation can be your trump card? A calamity of this level is like scratching an itch to me. It's not worth mentioning. Psycho Hongfei sneered disdainfully. He did not take Zhuowen's calamity seriously at all. Instead, his attacks became fiercer and fiercer. He wanted to kill Zhuowen as soon as possible. Although Zhuowen tried his best to dodge and use various array formations to obstruct Psycho Hongfei, he was still hit several times by Psycho Hongfei's attack. More and more injuries appeared on his body. Rumble! Suddenly, the calamities in the depths of the chaotic void finally reached a mature stage. With a thunderous explosion, an extremely fierce and terrifying white lightning fell from the depths of the void. It rapidly struck towards Saiku Hongfei and Zhuowen. This calamity seems to be quite powerful. Saiku Hongfei frowned slightly. He could acutely sense that Zhuowen's calamity seemed to be much more powerful than the calamities of other ancient star transformation cultivators. However, he did not care too much. No matter how powerful this calamity was, it was still a calamity of the ancient star transformation cultivators. Saiku Hongfei waved his hand and a gust of black gas shot out from his palm and blasted towards the white lightning. The black gas and the white lightning tangled for a long time before the white lightning was finally annihilated. Chapter 4096. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Saiku Hongfei was about to continue attacking Zhuowen, a bolt of white lightning descended from the depths of the void, followed by the sound of thunder. Then, under the shocked gazes of Zhuowen and Saiku Hongfei, numerous bolts of white lightning fell from the void. There were simply too many white lightning bolts, and they were too dense. They streaked across the sky and lined up one after another, forming a rectangular hell of white lightning. What? Why are there so many of them? Saiku Hongfei's expression changed drastically. He no longer cared about chasing after Zhuowen. Instead, he used his movement technique to the best of his ability and retreated rapidly. Just now, that bolt of white lightning had already been difficult for him to deal with. Now that so many bolts of white lightning were descending, no matter how confident he was, he knew that he would not be able to withstand them. Therefore, Saiku Hongfei decided to temporarily retreat from the range of the calamity so that he would not be at a disadvantage. He would wait for Zhuowen to pass the calamity, then he would take advantage of the opportunity to kill Zhuowen in one fell swoop. However, just as Saiku Hongfei was about to leave the range of the calamity, extremely terrifying runes suddenly surged around him. These runes rushed over like a flood, instantly pushing Saiku Hongfei back into the dense hell of white lightning. Old dog Saiku, do you think you can just leave after beating me up? Why don't you stay and accompany me? Zhuowen's sinister voice rang out. Then, Saiku Hongfei's expression turned ugly as he discovered that Zhuowen had appeared at the edge of the white lightning and launched an extremely fierce attack at him without any regard for his own safety. You're courting death. Saiku Hongfei was furious. He no longer held back and activated the power of the evil ghost demonic wheel with all his might, blasting it at Zhuowen. The evil ghost demonic wheel was indeed worthy of being a rank 7 astral weapon fragment. Its power was indeed extremely terrifying. Everywhere it passed, the void was about to be destroyed. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He naturally felt the terrifying power of the evil ghost demonic wheel. With his strength, if he faced the evil ghost demonic wheel head-on, he would basically be courting death. Seeing that the white lightning kun was about to descend, Zhuowen also knew that this was a rare opportunity. He absolutely could not let Saiku Hongfei escape from the scene of the great calamity. With a vicious look in his eyes, he took out the Tai Sovereign Seal and channeled his divine power into it. On the surface of the Tai Sovereign Seal, an intense yellow light surged, and the Tai Sovereign Seal rapidly expanded. In the end, the Grand Emperor's seal turned into a small hill that was about 10 feet in size and stood in front of Zhuowen. Zhuowen's face immediately turned incomparably pale. This Tai Imperial Seal was too ruthless, it was still crazily absorbing his divine power. Thankfully, Zhuowen's cultivation base had already reached the ancient star transformation stage, and his god force was far more robust than before. As such, he was able to just barely hold on. The evil ghost demonic wheel swept through the void and spun at high speed. The countless ferocious evil ghost statues on its surface seemed to have come to life, turning into ghost fog and revealing ferocious and terrifying heads. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out as the evil spirit demonic wheel finally crashed into the Grand Emperor's seal. The Grand Emperor's seal swayed slightly, then became as still as a mountain. A rich golden light flowed on its surface, flashing incessantly. It was a dazzling sight. From within the evil ghost demonic wheel, a blood-curdling scream rang out. It sounded like the scream of an old man who had been heavily slashed by a knife. It was extremely unpleasant to the ears. The evil ghost demonic wheel flew out and landed beside Psycho Hongfei, screaming incessantly. Psycho Hongfei's eyes narrowed as he stared at the Grand Emperor's seal in front of Zhuowen in disbelief. What the hell was this? Not only did the evil ghost demonic wheel fail to destroy the Grand Emperor's seal, but it was also severely damaged. Psycho Hongfei was completely dumbfounded. He even forgot that he was trying to avoid Zhuowen's calamity. By the time he regained his senses, it was already too late. Rolling white lightning fell densely, completely enveloping him and the surrounding hundreds of millions of miles. Psycho Hongfei roared, his face filled with shock and anger. He immediately waved the evil ghost demonic wheel to defend against the dense white lightning. Psycho Hongfei, what are you doing? Can't you see that I'm severely injured? You still want to borrow my power? The weapon spirit of the evil ghost demonic wheel was flustered and exasperated. He kept cursing Psycho Hongfei, clearly indicating that he did not want to help anymore. Psycho Hongfei's face darkened. The weapon spirit of the evil ghost demonic wheel was too much of a bastard. His words were too vulgar. Every curse was a personal attack. However, Psycho Hongfei could only swallow his anger. After all, he still needed to borrow the power of the evil ghost demonic wheel. Furthermore, when he saw the dense and endless amount of terrifying white lightning around him, he felt goosebumps all over his body. If he was at his peak, he could definitely withstand these white lightning bolts. However, his current state was too weak. If he faced this calamity head-on, he would be severely injured even if he did not die. Damn it, what kind of freak is this guy? Why would a mere ancient star transformation cause such a freakish calamity? Psycho Hongfei could not help but curse. He was extremely depressed. Zhuowen, who was hiding in the Tai Emperor's seal, naturally also felt the terror of the white lightning hell. His face instantly turned extremely pale. Fortunately, the Tai Emperor's seal was indeed powerful. It protected Zhuowen and blocked the countless white lightning bolts that were attacking him, preventing them from getting close to him. In the endless white lightning hell, Zhuowen's spiritual consciousness also sensed that Psycho Hongfei was also struggling to withstand the white lightning bolts not far away. From Psycho Hongfei's state, it was obvious that this guy was not in a good state. After all, he was enduring part of the calamity for Zhuowen. Moreover, Psycho Hongfei's aura was far stronger than Zhuowen's. Therefore, the place where the white lightning was densest was where Psycho Hongfei was. I must get rid of him as soon as possible. Cold killing intent burst out from Zhuowen's eyes. He knew that now was the best time to get rid of Psycho Hongfei. If he waited until the calamity was over, he would lose the advantage of time. At that time, it would be very difficult to get rid of Psycho Hongfei. Kill! Zhuowen no longer dodged the white lightning bolt. Instead, he rushed out and faced the endless white lightning bolts as he charged toward Psycho Hongfei. This was his calamity. Although this calamity was terrifying and powerful enough to destroy anything, Psycho Hongfei was still able to withstand it. However, if Zhuowen could make it through, his aura would only grow stronger with the assistance of the calamity. Naturally, the benefits he could obtain would also increase. On the other hand, Psycho Hongfei could only passively take the hit. The longer he stayed here, the more dangerous his situation would become. Is this guy crazy? Psycho Hongfei naturally saw Zhuowen charging toward him. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He cursed Zhuowen loudly. However, no matter how much he cursed, he could only passively assume a defensive posture. Boom! Zhuowen quickly moved with great difficulty to Psycho Hongfei. His body was bathed in white lightning and was charred black. A strong smell of burnt flesh wafted out from him. However, his eyes were filled with madness. He raised the Tai Emperor's seal and smashed it toward Psycho Hongfei. Psycho Hongfei's face darkened. He was surrounded by most of the white lightning and had nowhere to retreat. He knew that he could only fight. He used all his strength to summon the evil ghost demonic wheel and tried to block Zhuowen's attack. However, just as he summoned the evil ghost demonic wheel, he was shocked to find that it had slipped out of his hand and flew in the opposite direction, avoiding the Tai Emperor's seal. I won't fight this damn thing head-on. Psycho Hongfei, if you want to fight head-on, don't drag me into it. The artifact spirit's terrified voice came from the evil ghost demonic wheel. Chapter 4097. Boom. The Tai Emperor's seal fell heavily on Psycho Hongfei's body like a mountain. The two of them were too close. Psycho Hongfei knew that it was impossible for him to dodge, so he roared and gathered all the divine power in his body to resist the Tai Emperor's seal. In the end, the Tai Emperor's seal collided with Psycho Hongfei, and a terrible sound of collision rang out. Psycho Hongfei's full strength didn't last long before it was crushed by the Tai Emperor's seal. Psycho Hongfei screamed and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying in a sorry state. Boom! 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 The moment Psycho Hongfei was pushed back, countless bolts of white lightning landed on his body, and he screamed in pain. Psycho Hongfei tried his best to resist the white lightning, but unfortunately, his injuries were too severe, and the divine power he could use was pitifully thin. Zhuowen, on the other hand, was continuously pushed back by the white lightning. His body was already charred black. However, his eyes grew even brighter and sharper. Moreover, an extremely dense vitality surged within the depths of his extremely charred body like a withered tree that had just come back to life. Zhuowen believed that as long as he could survive this, his cultivation would immediately soar to the peak of the early-stage ancient star transformation. He wouldn't be too far away from the mid-stage ancient star transformation. Psycho Hongfei, today, only one of us will live. I will kill you even if I have to risk my life. Zhuowen's eyes were cold. He used the Tai Emperor's seal to block most of the white lightning, and used his physical body to resist the rest. He slowly walked toward Psycho Hongfei. Madman! You're a madman! When Psycho Hongfei saw this scene, he was truly frightened. That was why he had cried out in a shrill voice. At this moment, he finally felt a deep sense of fear. In his eyes, Zhuowen was a madman who didn't care about his own life. In this terrifying calamity, the two of them were in a very difficult situation. They could only barely protect themselves. However, in order to kill him, Zhuowen didn't care about the consequences at all. He was willing to pay any price. Zhuowen grinned, and his smile was filled with coldness. Evil ghost devil wheel, why don't you come and help me? If I die, who will provide you with sacrifices in the future? Psycho Hongfei hurriedly shouted at the evil ghost demonic wheel not far away. However, to Psycho Hongfei's despair, the evil spirit demonic wheel ignored him. Instead, it said calmly, Psycho Hongfei, I only like the strong. The more powerful they are, the more sacrifices they can provide me. Back then, you were indeed strong enough, so I was willing to accept your worship. But now you can't. As the saying goes, the winner takes all. You are no longer qualified for me to lend you my strength. You are just a lowly weakling. Psycho Hongfei's face paled as he shouted angrily, Evil ghost demonic wheel, you have helped me. If I die, do you think he will let you go? However, the evil ghost devil wheel mocked, Psycho Hongfei, you think too highly of yourself. Have you forgotten that I am a level 7 astral weapon fragment? Who would refuse the power of a level 7 astral weapon fragment? Evil ghost devil wheel, you ingrate! I have provided you with so many lives over the years, and I have agreed to almost all of your conditions. Now, I only want to borrow your strength to make you fight for your life, but you refuse to do so. Absolute, isn't it too disappointing? Saiku Hongfei shouted angrily. The evil ghost devil wheel had gone too far. It only knew how to take and never gave. Haha, then you can only blame yourself for being stupid. You are a weakling. The evil ghost devil wheel replied coldly. It continued to watch the show not far away, and it had no intention of helping Saiku Hongfei. Zhuowen, who had been guarding against the evil ghost devil wheel, was completely relieved. He knew that the evil ghost devil wheel would not really help Saiku Hongfei. Saiku Hongfei, it is time for you to die. Accept this reality. Zhuowen finally arrived in front of Saiku Hongfei with difficulty. He raised the Tai Emperor's seal with difficulty and smashed it at the ladder again. Boom! Saiku Hongfei was hit squarely once again, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The dense cracks on his body were rapidly spreading, and he was like a piece of glass that could shatter at any time. Saiku Hongfei kept retreating, and countless white thunderbolts were like maggots that burrowed into his body, wantonly destroying his inside. Saiku Hongfei screamed in agony. His body was finally on the verge of collapse, and with a loud boom, it shattered into countless pieces. Zhuowen was also hit by countless white thunderbolts, and he spat out blood as he retreated. His body also showed signs of collapsing. However, the aura in the depths of his body was growing stronger and stronger. I will definitely survive this tribulation. Zhuowen roared, put away the Tai Emperor's seal, and rushed into the void to face the countless white thunderbolts. The Tai Emperor's seal consumed too much divine power, so Zhuowen would rather not use it. He planned to use his own strength to resist this tribulation that belonged to him. The white thunderbolts persisted for a long time, and although Zhuowen's injuries were getting worse, his aura was getting stronger and stronger. Finally, when the white thunderbolts completely disappeared, Zhuowen's aura skyrocketed, and a thunderous sound burst out from his body. At this moment, he had advanced again, and reached the middle stage of the ancient star transformation. All of this was due to the extremely pure energy contained in the tribulation. Otherwise, Zhuowen would not have been able to advance so quickly. In the depths of the chaotic void, the rolling tribulation gradually dissipated, and peace was restored. Zhuowen slowly descended from the depths of the void. The charred skin on the surface of his skin, which looked like a cicada's cocoon, gradually cracked and scattered, revealing a translucent jade-like skin. Zhuowen slowly clenched his fist, and a series of explosive sounds rang out, and the air vibrated with extremely terrifying waves and ripples. Just by clenching his fist, there was already such a powerful movement. It was obvious that Zhuowen's body had undergone an earth-shattering transformation. So the powerful white thunderbolts have such a powerful tempering effect on the body. Zhuowen was pleasantly surprised. He realized that although each tribulation was extremely terrifying, his body would basically undergo a terrifying transformation once he passed the tribulation. This was like a sword that had been tempered thousands of times. The more tempered it was, the sharper it would be. His corporeal body was the sword, and every calamity was the hammer that forged it. Of course, this tempering effect was only effective on him. If an outsider accidentally entered his tribulation, they would not be tempered, but rather die. Chapter 4098. This evil ghost devil wheel was indeed worthy of being a rank 7-star weapon fragment. Although it was in a sorry state, it did not suffer much damage overall. Zhuowen looked coldly at the evil ghost devil wheel in front of him. Speaking of which, he did not like the spirit of this evil ghost devil wheel. Although he was able to kill Saiku Hongfei smoothly, it was also indirectly because of this evil ghost devil wheel. But just as Saiku Hongfei had said, the spirit of this evil ghost devil wheel was an ingrate. Saiku Hongfei had supported him for so many years, but at the critical moment, he stabbed his own master in the back. Suddenly, not far away, a faint ball of light rushed up and flew into the distance. Saiku Hongfei, you can't escape. The evil ghost devil wheel suddenly laughed sinisterly, and then the rolling black fog rushed out, revealing a huge black handprint, and blasted towards the ball of light. Ah! Evil ghost devil wheel, you are despicable and shameless, you will die a horrible death. The ball of light was suppressed by the black handprint, and Saiku Hongfei's resentful voice came from it. The spirit of the evil ghost devil wheel did not feel guilty at all. With a wave of the black handprint, the ball of light was held in front of him. Saiku Hongfei, you know the principle of cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots much better than I do. I will always believe that the dead are more reliable than the living. The evil ghost devil wheel chuckled, then grabbed the ball of light, looked at Zhuowen proudly, and continued, Boy! Let's get to know each other. My name is Evil Emperor, you can call me Lord Evil Emperor. Inside this ball of light should be Saiku Hongfei's soul and his universe world. If you want it, promise to sacrifice 10 million creatures for me. Also, if you want to cooperate with me and need to borrow my power, then give it to me. Give it to me. My request is not high. Every 10 years, you have to sacrifice 100 million creatures for me. As long as you meet my requirements, I can be merciful and lend you the power of the evil ghost devil wheel. Zhuowen silently looked at the complacent evil ghost devil wheel, and the corner of his mouth revealed a cold smile. This evil ghost demonic wheel was really insatiable. It had no self-awareness at all. After betraying his master in front of Zhuowen, he still dared to ask him to worship him and sacrifice 100 million living beings every 10 years. Did he really think that he, Zhuowen, was a fool? Are you very strong? Do I need to borrow your power? Zhuowen sneered. What do you mean? Demon Wheel's voice suddenly became gloomy. He stared coldly at Zhuowen, his eyes bursting with killing intent. What I mean is, you're too weak. You're not even worthy of my attention. After Zhuowen finished speaking, his eyes became extremely sharp, and then his figure moved, and he suddenly rushed towards the evil ghost demonic wheel. The moment Zhuowen charged over, his aura also rose inch by inch, suddenly becoming extremely terrifying and powerful. You bastard! Don't think that you're so great just because you defeated Saiku Hongfei. If you didn't rely on that strange disaster, you really wouldn't be a match for Saiku Hongfei. Now that you've lost the support of the disaster, do you think you're a match for me? The evil ghost demonic wheel screamed, and his voice was full of exasperation. The rolling black fog suddenly exploded, and there was a tendency for swords to be drawn. Boom! The evil ghost demonic wheel was furious, and he attacked Zhuowen with all his strength. The corner of Zhuowen's mouth was full of a cold smile. He flipped his right hand and took out the Tai Emperor's seal. Although the Tai Emperor's seal absorbed divine power at an exaggerated rate, he was now at the middle stage of the ancient star transformation stage, and he could barely withstand a few attacks from the Tai Emperor's seal. When the evil ghost demonic wheel saw the Tai Emperor's seal, he screamed shrilly, and his charging momentum stopped in an incredible way. Then, he suddenly fled in the opposite direction. When he fought against Saiku Hongfei, the evil ghost demonic wheel suffered greatly from the Tai Emperor's seal, and he was almost crippled. He knew very well how terrifying the Tai Emperor's seal was, so when Zhuowen took out the Tai Emperor's seal again, he didn't even care about his reputation and fled in a panic. You want to escape? You think it's that easy? Zhuowen sneered. He already knew that the evil ghost demonic wheel would try to escape. Therefore, he waved his sleeve and activated the temporary teleportation array that he had set up in the surroundings. White light flashed, and Zhuowen appeared in front of the evil ghost demonic wheel as if he had teleported. The Tai Emperor's seal in his hand violently slammed into the evil ghost demonic wheel. The Tai Emperor's seal, which was 10 feet long, slammed into the evil ghost demonic wheel, and dazzling sparks flew everywhere. The aftershock of the collision spread out, and the surrounding space was greatly distorted and collapsed. It was a horrifying scene. Among the deafening collision, there was also a blood-curdling scream that sounded like the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves. The evil ghost demonic wheel was hit by the Tai Emperor's seal again, and the artifact's spirit cried out in pain. The luster on its surface was also much dimmer. The moment the evil ghost demonic wheel was hit until it was dizzy, Zhuowen moved all 10 of his fingers and set up a powerful trapping array, completely trapping the evil ghost demonic wheel inside. Then, Zhuowen grinned and took out the Tai Emperor's seal, and slammed it into the evil ghost demonic wheel without hesitation. Blood-curdling screams were heard continuously. The evil ghost demonic wheel was so badly hit by the Tai Emperor's seal that cracks started to appear on its surface. Zhuowen naturally noticed this, and he became more and more curious about the origin of the Tai Emperor's seal. Where did this seal come from? Even a rank 7 astral weapon fragment was so weak in front of it. Ah! Kid, stop. I'll give you Saiku Hongfei's spiritual soul and Qiankuan world. Let me go. The evil ghost demonic wheel let out a weak cry for mercy. It really couldn't take it anymore. The power of the Tai Emperor's seal was too terrifying. If it still didn't surrender, it would really end up in a situation where its spiritual soul would be destroyed. Zhuowen smiled indifferently and said, "Hand over Saiku Hongfei's spiritual soul and Qiankuan world first." "Let me go first," the evil ghost demonic wheel said cautiously. Zhuowen didn't say anything else. With a flip of his right hand, the Tai Emperor's seal hit the evil ghost demonic wheel again. "Do you think you still have a choice now?" Zhuowen sneered. "Don't, I'll hand it over right now." The evil ghost demonic wheel was shocked and hurriedly threw the ball of light in the black handprint to Zhuowen. Zhuowen caught the ball of light in his hand and found that inside the ball of light, the little person who looked like Saiku Hongfei was curled up in a broken world. In the ruined Qiankuan world, Saiku Hongfei naturally felt Zhuowen's aura. He trembled and didn't even dare to raise his head to look at Zhuowen. "Now, can you let me go?" the evil ghost demonic wheel asked carefully. "Surrender to me, and I can give you a chance to live," Zhuowen said indifferently. The evil ghost demonic wheel was furious and said, You didn't keep your word. Did I promise you just now that I'll let you go if you give me Saiku Hongfei's spiritual soul?" Zhuowen asked mockingly. The evil ghost demonic wheel was speechless. Zhuowen indeed didn't make a promise to him. "You make the choice. Submit or die," Zhuowen said murderously. Chapter 4099. Zhuowen opened his palm and grabbed the evil ghost demonic wheel that was kneeling in front of him. But the moment his palm touched the evil ghost demonic wheel, a strange black gas suddenly exploded, turning into a ferocious face that rushed towards Zhuowen. The evil ghost demonic wheel took advantage of this gap and fled into the distance like an arrow released from a bow. Zhuowen sneered. He was already prepared. With a press of his right hand, the Grand Imperial Seal suddenly fell. The ferocious faces formed by the black gas were all destroyed. At this moment, the evil ghost demonic wheel had already escaped to the edge of the trap array that Zhuowen had set up and was trying its best to break the array. In order to break the array, the evil ghost demonic wheel's weapon spirit even burned its spirit body to obtain more power. Finally, before Zhuowen could catch up, it forcefully broke the trap array that Zhuowen had set up. With a roar, it fled into the distance. Whoosh! The moment the evil ghost's demonic wheel escaped, an earth-shattering purple-gold sword light cut through the void and quickly slashed towards it. The evil ghost's demonic wheel did not expect it at all. Caught off guard, it was hit by the sword light. With a muffled groan, it was forced back. And he also finally saw clearly that the one who had slashed out this purple-gold sword beam was actually the rank 6 astral weapon fragment, the purple-gold divine sword, that Zhuo had been using all along. To the evil ghost's demonic wheel, it did not care about the purple-gold divine sword, but at this moment it was gnashing its teeth in hatred. It was this crucial sword strike of the purple-gold divine sword that finally gave it the best opportunity to escape. And Zhuo had already wrapped the Grand Imperial Seal, rolling over and smashing it fiercely at the evil ghost's demonic wheel. Then, the evil ghost's demonic wheel let out a shrill scream. It was once again heavily injured by the Grand Imperial Seal, and the cracks on its surface became more and more obvious. "Master, I am willing to submit to you. I was wrong, please let me go this time." The evil ghost's demonic wheel was extremely embarrassed. It knelt on the ground and begged Zhuo for mercy. Zhuo sneered. He reached out his right hand and grabbed the evil ghost's demonic wheel. "Master, you," the evil spirit demonic wheel looked at Zhuo in confusion. He didn't know what Zhuo wanted to do. Zhuo did not say a word. He took out 2 mysterious stones from his great world. They were the Great Word Stone and the Great Word Stone. The 2 stones emitted a mysterious purple light that shone faintly, as if they contained some kind of extraordinary energy. "Rank 7 Astral Weapon Shard. I think it will allow my purple-gold divine sword to successfully advance to rank 7. Zhuo's eyes shone with undisguised greed. The evil spirit devil wheel trembled. Zhuo's eyes were too terrifying. It was the eyes of a predator. In particular, the 2 glowing purple stones made him even more fearful. He could clearly feel an extremely strong sense of threat from them. Through the Supreme Word Stone and Hong Word Stone, Zhuo's soul rushed into the evil ghost devil wheel. This was a boundless black sea, and in the middle of the black sea was a huge black cage. Zhuo stood in front of the black cage and looked straight at the creature in the cage. The creature imprisoned in the cage was tens of thousands of feet tall. Strangely, it only had a huge, strange head, but no body. This head was covered with extremely hard green scales, and there were 8 huge bloody mouths on the head. "Oh? Is this your true face?" Zhuo looked at the strange creature in front of him and said expressionlessly. In the cage, the evil emperor looked at Zhuo in horror and said in a low voice, "Master, the evil emperor knows that he was wrong. Please let me live. In the future, the evil emperor will serve Master well and will not dare to neglect him." "That's what you said just now, but you betrayed me in the blink of an eye. Can I still believe your words?" Zhuo said slowly. The evil emperor's eyes darted around, and he suddenly broke out of the cage. His huge bloody mouth bit down on Zhuo. "Kid, this is the space inside the evil ghost devil wheel, and I am the weapon spirit of the evil ghost devil wheel. In my space, do you think you are a match for me? Watch me eat you." The evil emperor suddenly revealed a sinister expression as he let out a deranged and wanton laugh. Zhuo sneered and waved his right hand. The Supreme Word Stone and Hong Word Stone flew through the air and blocked the evil emperor. At the same time, the purple light emitted by the Supreme Word Stone and Hong Word Stone began to look down on the evil emperor's body, causing his body to be destroyed. What the hell is this? My body." The evil emperor's pupils shrank. He was finally afraid and began to retreat. Unfortunately, it was useless. Under the power of the Great Word Stone and the Hong Word Stone, his power was too insignificant. "Evil Emperor, you are right. The power of the Stage 7 Astral Weapon Fragment is very tempting, but you, the weapon spirit, are a ticking time bomb. So, I don't need you. I only need the evil ghost devil wheel." Zhuowen's faint voice sounded. The evil emperor stared at the tiny human below and let out a roar of disbelief. Then, his huge body completely disappeared. After getting rid of the evil emperor, Zhuowen began to use the characteristics of the primordial stone to merge it with the purple-gold divine sword. Why can't I merge them? When Zhuowen tried to merge the purple-gold divine sword and the evil ghost devil wheel, he realized that the two astral weapon fragments were repelling each other and could not merge at all. Logically speaking, after the weapon spirit was killed, the two astral weapon fragments should be able to merge easily under the power of the primordial stone, but this method had failed. This is the lack of a weapon spirit. The Stage 7 astral weapon fragment is much stronger than the Stage 6 astral weapon fragment, and its level is also much higher. If there is no weapon spirit, it is impossible to adjust and balance the powerful energy in the Stage 7 astral weapon fragment. Suddenly, Xiao Hei's voice sounded in Zhuowen's mind. Xiao Hei, how did you know? Also, when I merged the astral weapon fragments, I could still merge them after erasing the weapon spirit. Why can't it work this time? Zhuowen asked in confusion. This Dragon Lord is a weapon cultivator after all. In this line of weapons, who else can compare to this Dragon Lord? Xiao Hei was quite proud and continued. As for the problem you mentioned, it is because the primordial stone is too powerful. It can adjust the balance of the astral weapon. In the past, when the astral weapon was not strong, the primordial stone could still control it. Now, the astral weapon has become stronger. It is not so easy to control it. This is also the reason why it is difficult to merge the two astral weapons. Hearing this, Zhuowen frowned slightly. If what Xiao Hei said was true, then his purple-gold divine sword could no longer be improved by merging other astral weapon fragments. However, I have an idea that might work, Xiao Hei suddenly said. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.